Welcome to Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we have a very special Best Picture Showdown, probably the one I've been anticipating the most that we've done in the show so far. It's 2007, the 80th Academy Awards. Of course, No Country for Old Men is the winner. That's the movie we'll be covering mostly on this show, on this episode. We're going to, look at the Best Picture group and rank them, which also includes There Will Be Blood, one of my favorite movies of all time. Atonement, Juno, and Michael Clayton. Just a really, really solid group for Best Picture. This is right before, 2007, and then 2008 is the last year where they had 5 Best Picture nominees, and then they exploded it. I heard recently, I was listening to Bill Hader, one of the greatest SNL cast members of all time, talk about No Country and his adoration for it. And he was talking about this year's Academy Awards, and he was like, you got to think that the reason they went from 5 to 9 or 10 is because this year is so goddamn dark. He's like, they had to get more spots in there just so they could get a little bit of love, a little bit of joy. Your headliners are Javier Bardem and Daniel Day-Lewis just fucking destroying everything in their path. So I thought that was hilarious, and it's true. This group is tough. It's a tough one. When Juno is the most lighthearted movie out of a group, that's when you got fucking problems, right? We're gonna talk a lot about the 80th Academy Awards. We're gonna talk about some individuals from No Country because there's a lot of badasses involved in the movie, and you and I are going to also give awards out to No Country for Old Men at the end of the show. So let's just jump right in. Talk about the fucking Coens. I mean, this is, for you and I, this is kind of like the back of our hand type stuff. We love the Coens with all of our hearts. And while some of their best work, our favorite work, is not really recognized by the Academy, some of their best stuff is recognized, and they are truly amazing. And I think No Country could be looked at as their masterpiece, their dramatic masterpiece. My personal favorite, and I think I speak for you as well, is Lebowski.
Yeah, no contest.
Yeah, it's really tough to break that. But I think when you're talking about, they're more, even their serious stuff, like there's funny moments in No Country, that little sly humor. It's not Lebowski, it's not Raising Arizona. There's a clear the And I think this one just technically is so fucking outstanding, and that has a lot to do with, the guys that are at play with them. Roger Deakins, of course, this is one of his better performances behind the camera. They got Javier Bardem at the right time in his late 30s when he looked the exact way you need him to for this character. Tommy Lee Jones, Josh Brolin, Woody Harrelson, just perfect the way it kind of lined up. And it is probably my second favorite of their work. But I want to look at, their career when it comes to the Oscars. I think the only other movie we've covered of theirs on here is Fargo. Is that correct?
Yeah, 85 episodes in, and we've been pretty we've restrained ourselves. This is only our second Coen brothers. We've still only done Tarantino one time. I'm kind of impressed with that.
Yeah, it is difficult to not just line up your favorites and just fucking do them all. But the Academy's history is so vast and has so much to offer. Like next week, we're going to be doing a movie neither of us have ever seen. We like to do that every now and again too. So we'll be shouting that movie out later on in the episode before we leave. So stick with us. Coens, Fargo is the big one, right? Nominated for Best Film Editing, both of them, Joel and Ethan. Nominated for Best Picture, right? This is a big deal. And then one screenplay. The Coen brothers together. So that's kind of when they made their splash. And it was like, look out for these guys. Even though they had been around for 12 years, making great stuff, Blood Simple and Miller's Crossing and Raising Arizona and Barton Fink, Hudsucker Proxy. These movies kick ass, but it was Fargo that kind of broke that Oscar glass.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Coens, their films are on a vast spectrum. On one side, at the very end, you've got The Big Lebowski, and at the other end, you've got No Country for Old Men. And to me, everything else falls in between those two extremes. But it shows their impressive range as filmmakers to do something that's ridiculous about a stoner stumbling into a kidnapping conspiracy that's not even real, and a psychotic hunting down a rancher for $2 million of drug money. Like, and both of them are masterpieces. Like, I think these guys are the most creative geniuses in Hollywood.
Yeah. I think, is this probably our mutual, along with, I would say, Tarantino, this is probably our mutual favorite filmmakers of all time. I would say probably the Coens is something we bonded over like very quickly when we met.
This is the first conversation we ever had was about the Coen brothers.
Yeah. And they just, man, they're just really special. While they have some films that I'm not crazy about, they're so prolific and they can't help themselves. And speaking of, Macbeth is out in theaters and is going to be available on Apple TV Plus for everybody to see. So they're just always working, right? Always trying to master their craft. And I have so much respect for it. And it's just so weird that No Country is 15 years old now. Like, so weird. It's so incredible. This movie has aged so well. Next movie, No, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? They were nominated for a screenplay, and I know this is one of your favorites.
I love Oprah. I literally watched this not 4 days ago, just for kicks. I was like, let's watch Oh Brother. It's so rewatchable. It's hilarious. It's a great retelling of the Odyssey. It's got some incredible performances. It, kind of redeemed George Clooney in the eyes of Hollywood, as far as I'm concerned. And it's just, it's a fun, hilarious, weird movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it's one of the more rewatchable, just kind of like you just going back for a grand old time. You're gonna have a lot of fun. Great cast, really unique cast, and like you said, George Clooney just kind of at his best right there. And also for me, at his best in a movie we're gonna be talking about later, fucking Michael Clayton. I love Clooney in that movie, so good. After that. It's No Country for Old Men, and this is they put on a fucking show with the 80th Academy Awards. 8 total nominations, 4 wins. The Coen brothers nominated for film editing, and they used the name Roderick Janes for that one, right? Those little trick they like to pull, which I think is so much fun. And then they won together. They won for adapted screenplay, directing, and best picture. It's just this triumph. And we're going to talk a lot about this. It's basically against Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's this heads up race that was happening even when I was back then, when I was 12, 13 years old, when these movies came out in 2007. And I didn't quite wrap my head around. I still knew it was a race because I could hear, like, my parents would talk about it, like, oh, they thought they were clear fans of No Country. They were like, No Country is the better movie type thing. And I remember hearing people go the other way, and I don't know, it's going to take me this whole episode to figure out which movie I think is more deserving of best picture. They're both so good, both 8 nominations. And it's just really cool the way they kind of lined up. And PTA versus the Coens is a fun, looking at their filmography, right? PTA has way less. He has like half as many movies, but the Coens, they're doing something completely different. They operate in different, sandbox, if you will. And the Coens said that when they won screenplay for No Country for Old Men, they said, "Thank you for letting us play in this little corner of the sandbox. We highly appreciate it." I think in the other corner of the sandbox is Paul Thomas Anderson kind of doing his own thing, and I love that.
Yeah, quite literally a giant sandbox called Texas where they were filming next to each other.
Yes, exactly. And then, of course, the famous scene in There Will Be Blood where Henry Plainview loses his hearing, and there's the giant fire. No Country was they were shooting. The Coens were shooting their film. Deakins and all these guys are there. Right, it's crazy to think about. And you can see they could see the fire in their shot from And it's like, wait, what are you doing? You're fucking up our shot. And PTA is like, I don't care. This is my shot. This is what I'm doing. This is like one of the biggest moments of my film. I have to have it. So this giant fucking fire that cost a ton of money, very cool.
I have two things I wanted to say about this kind of Coens versus Anderson night at the Oscars. First off, the Coens acceptance speech for director. They had already won for screenplay, then they won for director, and I love their speech. They just went up there and was like, we pretty much said everything we wanted to say, so thank you.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. And then at the time, I think 2007, I think we were 12?
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, at this show, at this Oscars, we both would have just turned 13 because the both of our birthdays are in January.
That's right.
This ceremony was February 24th, 2008. So we would have been just turned 13, which is, your mind is opening to whole new things, and movies are starting to really take over. Yeah.
At the time, I didn't really appreciate. I didn't watch like any of these movies. I was just, I loved movies. I didn't care if I'd seen them or not. I was just like, ooh, the Oscars. And I remember the clip they played for Daniel Day-Lewis was when he's at Eli's church screaming, "I've abandoned my child." And even then I was like, Jesus, that's a performance.
Yeah.
I was like, that guy's going to win. And then later on, I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. This is, I would credit 2007 for being one of the film years that really piqued my interest in these kinds of films, like Oscar nominated films, and the more, what's seen as kind of more prestigious and, films that really matter to culture. And it just piqued my interest like that. I remember that Daniel Day-Lewis, that bit when they do they used to do those fucking badass montages of all the performances. And it was like, this is why they're nominated. And I loved that. I loved that about it. I was really interested in Juno. I remember I was like, what? Like, what is this? I want to see this movie. It looks kind of fun and quirky. And I had seen Little Miss Sunshine from the year previous, and it was kind of seemed like the same kind of pace and same kind of tone. And Michael Clayton, I was like, what? And little did I know that they used to make movies like Michael Clayton in the 70s and 80s fucking every goddamn week, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And Atonement, is just one of those classic Best Picture nominees, just period piece that's just fucking incredible, great costumes, great acting, all that stuff. And this year was just big for me, just kind of piquing my interest. Like, what is this stuff, And the first time I saw No Country was in 2009 when I finally got a chance to watch it because my family went to Europe. We flew there and they had it on the plane, so I could watch it on the little screen in front of me. And I was like, what is this? So I was 14 years old and I had known about No Country, right, from the Oscars and whatnot, but I didn't have access to it. And then finally that happened and it was so cool and opened my whole world up. And shortly after I saw There Will Be Blood and so on and so forth. And I just got to give a lot of credit to this group. There's been Oscar years where it just kind of jolts me to get more interested and more excited. And I'd say this is right up there with one of the top ones. This one and 2014 was huge for me. 2019 was a great year for Best Picture nominees. It just gets me a little bit more amped. And I love that about it.
2014 is probably the definitive year for me. That was the first year where I made it my mission to see all the nominations for Best Picture. And I was really paying attention to these films. And it's no coincidence that's the year Caleb and I started the Filmgazm website. I mean, that was just kind of the year of me kind of revamping everything I thought I knew about film and really kind of rebooting with a new mindset. And I never looked back.
Yeah. And, good, fantastic for you. You're still like reaping the benefits of just kind of realizing how much bigger it is than you knew or realized or thought, and that continues to happen to us today. Where you just like, holy shit, there's a lot of great stuff out there. and it's occasionally okay to look to the Oscars for some kind of reference or recommendation. Jesus, one of my favorite Coen films, probably my third favorite, is A Serious Man, and that was nominated for Best Original Screenplay and Best Picture of the Year from 2009. Love that movie to death. It's my favorite movie from 2009. It's just it meshes their stuff so well. Just fucking silly at times. Has some dialogue like No Country where you should just be sitting there for 5 minutes, like kind of dissecting it. And I love that about their screenplays. Very, very cool. The following year, 2010, one of their more underrated films, True Grit, up for Best Adapted Screenplay, Directing, and Best Picture. Just a wonderful movie. One of my favorite Jeff Bridges performances. I don't think that one gets enough praise.
Yeah, you're right. That movie's remarkably underrated. On 10 nominations, 0 wins. I always hate to see that. But
yeah.
And this one, to just see, Jeff work with the Coens again was exciting. And it's such a cool movie. It beats the shit out of John Wayne's version. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah. I like when a remake does the things better, that it failed, 30 years earlier. What's crazy about True Grit, it comes out in 2010, right? 12 years ago. If you and I were seeing True Grit in theaters together in 2010, Big Lebowski came out 12 years before that. Really weird. True Grit's the midway point between Big Lebowski and now. Fucking weird.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
It doesn't really add up for me. I'm like, wait a minute. Because Lebowski, probably because I saw True Grit in theaters, at age 15, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. This is great. I remember who I saw it with. I remember what theater I saw it at. And Lebowski, obviously, at 3 years old, I was not seeing that one in theaters. So, I think maybe that's why it seems so distant, Big Lebowski. It's this thing I didn't get to really be a part of when it was coming out. And I hate that.
The Big Lebowski is such a big deal in my family. I remember just as a kid finding the VHS or the DVD of the movie and inquiring, like, what is this? And every time my mom or my uncle would be like, you'll see, like later, like not yet, you're too young. And then one day rolled around, we were at a beach house and they'd brought it. And I watched it for the first time with my mom and dad, and I could not stop laughing. I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And I don't know, we've never talked about that movie like properly on any of our shows. And I don't even know how to go about it, because it's just this monumental movie for most cinephiles, and especially for you and I, is this kind of tent pole in our friendship. And I don't even know how to even go about that, because it can't be on here. Wasn't nominated for anything. Damn shame. I don't know. Filmgazm one day. Yeah,
it's gonna make a significant and fun Filmgazm in the near future. That's for damn sure.
Hell yeah. Good shit. These last two Coens nominated for original screenplay, Bridge of Spies, 2015, and then The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, adapted screenplay, 2018. Both solid movies, solid flicks. I really liked Buster Scruggs. That was really cool to see that one just on Netflix. I was like, what? This is cool. I'm just watching a fucking Coen film on Netflix. And that was the same year, 2018. That was the same year Alfonso Cuarón's Roma came out just on Netflix. And I was like, what? This is too good to be true, And that can't, that's still happening. But I remember at that time it was weird for these auteurs to just, here's my work.
I just felt like Leo in The Aviator in that bathroom, just being like, the way of the future, the way of the future.
Yeah.
This is film like for the next 20 something years until whatever the next step is rolls around.
I love it, man. That's great. The Coens are awesome. If there was one movie aside from Lebowski, let's cut that one out. If there was one movie that you think for sure should have been up for, screenplay or directing, what is it?
Easily Miller's Crossing. Easily.
Okay.
That is such an underrated, cool gangster film. Very put together, kind of like inspired by Kurosawa's Yojimbo and Leone's A Fistful of Dollars. Definitely has that same story of like one man pitting rival families against one another, but executed in such a memorable way with such vibrant characters and incredible performances. I think Gabriel Byrne, John Polito, and Albert Finney all should have been up for acting noms. It should have been up for cinematography, screenplay, picture. Like that movie is one of their secret masterpieces. Yeah, it's fantastic. So good. That one and Barton Fink have always been kind of like, why are those not in my mind? Why are those not
right up there, you know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It happens, you know, shit happens. I think you could make the case for a lot of their stuff though that should have got more nominations. But I think the ultimate fuck up is is specifically Albert Finney and Miller's Crossing. He is fucking lights out, like scary. Has some of their best Coen scenes ever involve him, and I'll never really be able to forget his face, his haircut, you know, all that different stuff. He's so good in that movie.
I think that should have been Turturro's moment as well.
Probably,
Just
yeah.
in the, at Miller's Crossing, begging for his life. I mean, you don't get a lot of scenes better than that in a film.
No, and there, Miller's Crossing specifically is one of the Coens where it makes me think, like, God, actors deserve so much better, you know, because the Coens give it to them, right? They give their actors these genius lines, whether they be from books or not. They provide them with this incredible dialogue and have this just uncanny ability to do things in a simple way. And the simplicity of even No Country for Old Men is like, what? These guys are masters. And it's like they don't need, I respect all kinds of filmmakers, but I think I prefer the simplicity and the kind of rawness of the Coens over someone who's freaky, controlling, like David Fincher, who's just like, we got to do 70 takes and then pick the very best one. The Coens are like, no, that was good. That was good. We did 3 takes. That was good. We're going to roll with that. You know, they're famous for that rawness, that kind of the reaction they get from their actors just doing it a couple times is one of those is probably the best. And I love that about them.
Well, I love that their films are so lean. There's no fat on any of them. There's no overindulgence. Every scene is exactly the right amount you need for this film to work. Everything they've ever done has been like that. And I wish more filmmakers had that kind of self-awareness. Yeah.
I again, I love all kinds of filmmakers, but there's something about the Coens that's like, that's who I would want to work for, you know? It seems like a lot of fun. You know, what's crazy though about 2007 is maybe my favorite movie from that year is Zodiac, right? And the fact that that's not there is kind of stole something from us, because we could have gotten Fincher, Paul Thomas Anderson, and the Coens in the same group, and that would have been not right. That's too much.
That's amazing. I'll never understand how Zodiac got completely shut out. I mean, it is one of the best films of the year, one of Fincher's best movies. What happened?
I think it is his best movie, and that sucks. It sucks that I think its runtime doesn't help it, right? It's like 3 hours plus, but a lot of best picture movies will just push it and push it and push it. And Zodiac doesn't really have a lot of shit that you can cut out. No. It's all really good.
Zodiac is like 10 minutes longer than There Will Be Blood. I mean,
yeah.
So I don't think runtime's never really been an issue with the Oscars.
No, I think our next, or no, I was looking at, you and I were talking about some other best picture showdowns to do, and we were talking about there's a specific year that we are definitely going to do in 2022, and one of the films is like 3 hours plus, and I was just like, Christ, every fucking ceremony has one of those bastards that's just and it's probably not going to even be that good. But it's always worth it to just kind of, I'm not going to say check them off. It's always good to just experience them. And even if it's for one time, I like being able to say I've seen it and have an actual opinion about it, even if it's 3 or 4 hours.
Well, there's certain films that I think, like, the best thing about watching them is that I never have to watch them again. Certain, like, that's what keeps me going on some of these movies. Like, if I just sit down and watch this for 4.5 hours, this is the last time I have to do that.
Yeah. Like, we covered the 10 Commandments last Easter.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I'm not ever watching it again. I'm not ever going to sit and watch the entire film again. No way. No way, not know how. I might watch clips from it, just like, oh yeah, this is good,
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit down and let's check out the 10 Commandments, y'all. It's not happening.
I'm with you. I bought the Blu-ray for the show. Now it's on the shelf, and there it shall remain.
Yes.
I'm good.
Yes. Oh, that's great. All right. I could talk about the Coens forever. I think we both could. They're the best. This is one of my favorite casts of theirs in No Country. It's just one of my favorite lines from the movie is when Josh Brolin says, "What is this guy, the ultimate badass?" And I'm like, "Are you talking about Javier Bardem or Tommy Lee Jones or Woody Harrelson? I don't know, or Roger Deakins. I'm not sure." So we're going to talk about all these guys. Josh Brolin first. I see him as, even though his arc is odd and is one of the things people complain about with the movie is his death later on in the film. It's one of my favorite touches of the whole movie, is that touch that they don't really show you. He's treated like another fucking regular dude, you know. You don't get this crazy dramatic close up. You don't get, you just have the tracking shot of Tommy Lee Jones walking, and then there's fucking Moss just laying there. He's dead. That's it. And we move on. Josh Brolin, it's a damn shame he only has one nomination in his whole career. It's for Milk, Best Supporting Actor, 2008. I love him in Milk, but he has far better work. I would even say another guy we've been talking about, Paul Thomas Anderson. His role in Inherent Vice as Bigfoot is legendary and is probably my favorite little piece in that film. He has played one of the greatest, not just superhero villains, but villains I've ever seen, in Thanos in the later stages of the MCU, and he's frightening. His voice is incredibly commanding. Yeah. I love this guy, and I can't believe he wasn't out for No Country. I can't believe it.
Yeah, this was his the beginning of kind of a significant career comeback for Josh Brolin.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of just, been stuck in TV movies for a while, and for me, he'll always be Brand from the Goonies. That was what I with him.
Yeah, the Goonies and Thrashing from the 80s for that's where he that fucking skating movie. It's terrible, but he was like a child actor, and then
he's a legacy.
Yeah,
his dad, James Brolin. Big guy in the 70s, 80s. And now, Josh Brolin he came into his own as a power player. And yeah, I don't think anyone could have played Thanos as nuanced as he did. It was very impressive work. And then, and No Country for Old Men, I guess he's the closest we've got to a hero in this movie, but he's no hero. I mean, he's, a rancher who stumbled onto a drug bust or a drug meeting, took $2 million, and is being hunted by a psychopath. He's done nothing to be redeemable in our eyes. In fact, some I'm going to point out later, so I'll save that. But I think he's fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, I do too. It's probably my favorite role of his. I love him to death in Sicario. I think he's great as Thanos. I love him in Inherent Vice. I also, a movie that I think is quite underrated is a film called Only the Brave from 2017. And he plays a firefighter. He's kind of takes Miles Teller under his wing. Then their group is called, I think, the Hot Shots, and they take down huge forest fires, and he's kind of the leader of it. And he's perfect. He's just perfect. This guy, I mean, the stuff he's been in the past few years. I mean, of course, playing Thanos. He was in Dune. He plays a pretty nice little role in Dune. He was Cable in Deadpool 2. These are, not only are these massive paychecks, but he delivers. He delivers in them. He's a straight up A-lister at this point.
Yeah.
And I love that it started with No Country. I say the line when he gets up to go back to the scene when he says, "Fixing to do something dumber than hell, but I'm going to do it anyways." I say that all the time. I love that line so much, and this character is really cool. I also like the connection of his first name, Llewellyn, to Llewyn Davis from the Coen Brothers 2013 film. One of my favorites of theirs too. Just great stuff. The Coens are the best, man. They're so good at using cool actors.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite Josh Brolin roles, honestly, is Men in Black 3 as young.
There you go,
Agent K. His ability to channel Tommy Lee Jones in that film, I don't think gets enough recognition. He did a fantastic job.
And isn't that great?
Yeah.
Tommy Lee. God damn it. Tommy Lee Jones, motherfucker. Well, we'll hold off on Tommy Lee. Let's talk about Javier Bardem first. Christ Almighty. This is one of the most talented guys alive right now. I think so. I think he's right up there with just straight up one of the best performers that's working right now. His first nomination was for Before Night Falls, Best Actor in a Lead Role. He won the Oscar for his role in No Country for Old Men, Best Supporting Actor. And then he was nominated for Beautiful in 2010 for Best Actor in a Lead Role. So you could make the argument. It's really weird that Tommy Lee Jones is nominated for Best Actor in No Country and Javier Bardem's supporting. When if you look up their run times, Javier Bardem is in the film more. He shows up more, but he's straight up a villain. And Tommy Lee Jones is the sheriff who's kind of he has the final say in the film, right? The film ends with his dialogue and opens with his dialogue. So that's tough, but this guy Javier is why I think people still talk about this movie so much. Of course, the technical side of it, the Coens are working great. The dialogue is great. Direction is incredible. But Javier delivers something so special. It's right on par with J.K. Simmons and Whiplash. It's right up there with Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. The very best supporting roles of all time. You have to throw Javier Bardem, No Country, and Anton Chigurh in there.
Well, I'll put it like this. Recently, there was a psychiatric magazine that went through thousands of hours of film to determine like the most definitive depiction of a psychopath in cinema history. And this is the performance that they landed on. That alone should tell you everything you need to know about why this guy deserved and did win this Oscar. He is absolutely bone chilling as Anton Chigurh. This is a man who cannot be reasoned with, to quote the Terminator, cannot be bargained with, does not sleep, does not eat. He will not stop. This is like, it's almost like he's too evil to make enemies. He just handles his problems. Like there is nobody's ever going after him. And he's made he's made sure of that. It's brilliant. I was watching Javier Bardem talk about this role on a GQ inside the actor's studio kind of thing. And he said he was playing Anton as if he was constantly a slave to a higher power that was making him kill like this. The coin toss, like not his call. He's like, damn, now I have to do this as per the rules. And you get that vibe of like, well, here it goes. Now I got to deal with this. Like, it's so like, it's like he's playing two people. It's very cool and very creative and terrifying. And you never once doubt for a second that this guy's going to win. It's just something about him. You're like, yeah, he's going to kill Moss. He's going to take this money.
Yeah. There's not very many characters where I have that feeling of like, fuck me, when they come on the screen, but I'm also like, let's fucking go, Anton. Like, what are you going to do next? What weird weapon are you about to use? How are you going to kill this next guy? God, he's so good in this movie. And I'll just say this because I know you feel the same way. What a damn shame he wasn't nominated for Skyfall. He is unbelievably frightening in that movie as well. And, I think the Oscars are just allergic to James Bond a little bit.
Not in technical awards, but definitely in performance. There's some amazing performances throughout the Bond franchise, particularly in the villain category. And Silva is right up there. Like James Bond's fucking Joker. And he's a great presence. He's a threatening presence. Javier just has this aura about him of like, I'm probably a nice guy, but I will fuck your shit up if I'm playing a villain.
Yeah, exactly. I love this guy. He was the first Spanish nominated performer ever and the first Spanish winner ever. So pretty cool. Kind of crazy it took that long to recognize.
From like Spanish from Spain, you mean?
Yeah, Spain. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not Latino, but yeah, actually, yeah, Spain. Yeah, Spanish. Yeah. Oh, he's breathtaking. We'll be talking about him some more later, I'm sure, as we give out our awards and talk about scenes and lines. And yeah, he's gonna come up. He's got some great stuff. And my mistake. I saw. This is actually I love learning. This is partly why we do the show. Tommy Lee Jones was not nominated for No Country. He was nominated for Best Actor in a Lead Role for In the Valley of Elah, 2007. So same year. What a great year for him. Jesus.
Yes. In the Valley of Elah, that's such an underrated film. That's a really powerful movie.
There you go. Yeah, that's great and cool to see his name there, right? Sorry, lost to There'll Be Blood's Daniel Plainview.
Yeah.
It ain't. Yeah, you ain't taking that. His first nomination is for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, JFK, 1991. Just tremendous. Then he won Best Actor in a Supporting Role, 1993, The Fugitive. Great stuff. In the Valley of Elah, 2007. And then nominated again for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Lincoln, 2012. JFK. Come on. Just one of the most well-cast, most absurd, out there, far-reaching, awesome movies I've ever seen in my life. It's the only movie from 1991 that can go toe-to-toe with Silence of the Lambs for me. Yeah, I love that movie to death.
JFK is, I knew I was going to like that movie. It just took me years to finally watch it. 3 hours is intimidating, regardless of whether or not, it's a subject matter that you are fascinated by. 3 hours is a lot of time to put into one movie.
Yeah.
However, JFK earns every second of that. It really is a powerful film that really convinces you that some wonky shit went down in Dallas. Anyway, that ensemble, like Tommy Lee is just one of the guys who could have taken that spot. I mean, Gary Oldman, fucking Costner rocks it. John Candy, like, what the hell is going on in that movie? Everyone is just giving their all. It's fantastic.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. And Tommy Lee, should he have been nominated for supporting role, supporting actor in No Country?
I don't think so. I think he's good, but I think Javier is fantastic. I think Brolin probably could have scored a nomination. I think he's very good. Tommy Lee, I think he's better in the Valley of Elah. I think they got it right this time.
That's fair. It's fair. If they give out Oscars for best voice, then Tommy Lee should get it for No Country. He's so broken in this movie, and there's definitely stories from his past that you would love to see on screen, right? But that's just not the point. That's not where we catch him,
Yeah.
And the ending is the ending of this movie, which I think some people, it kind of steers people in the opposite direction the last 20 minutes or so. For me, it just sticks it perfectly. It took me probably 3 viewings to really, really grasp, like, okay, I see exactly what they're going for here. I see the ending with Javier Bardem and the two younger guys. The guy gives him the shirt. They start arguing about the money that he gives him. All those little things within the plot, within the dialogue, I started to understand after a couple viewings. And the ending, I'm completely blown away by him talking about his 2 dreams. Just Tommy Lee just knocks that shit out of the park. And I can't remember the woman who plays his wife, what her name is. She plays Loretta in the movie. She's fucking Jesse Pinkman's mom in Breaking Bad. What the fuck?
Tess Harper.
Yeah.
She's Jesse's mom. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, really weird. Like, just a year later, she appears in Breaking Bad as Jesse's mom. Yeah.
Oh,
strange.
That's cool.
I immediately thought, like, what if Tommy Lee Jones is his dad? his real dad.
Well, then he wouldn't have turned out such a, junkie fuck up.
Yeah, Tommy Lee wouldn't have that. Yeah, no way. So good. Last performer we're going to talk about is Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson plays Carson Wells, who is in about 10 minutes of the movie, but he's fucking going for it, man. He's going for it. It's like he's batting 1,000% for just this little tiny space he has to operate. He's so good. He plays this is one of my favorite performances for someone who is shitting their pants but trying to keep it together, and just like, fucking go to hell. Like, you can tell he wants to just cry like a little baby, but he's like, I'm gonna die. And he can't. He's gotta remain a fucking Texan badass, and he sells it so well. He's been nominated 3 times. First, 1996, Best Actor in a Lead Role, The People vs. Larry Flint. Great movie. Then he was nominated for supporting actor in The Messenger, 2009, and then Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, 2017. Which I'm not quite sure. That film, that whole plot line is like really out of left field, but he's great, and I'm cool with it because he's wonderful, and the stuff with his wife and his two daughters, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, is really touching and really good. But I just remember some of the stuff in Three Billboards. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? That's just Martin's style.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head who was the cinematographer for Three Billboards?
No, I don't. I will look it up though.
Because it feels so much like a Coen movie. I don't know what it is about that film, but it has that vibe.
Martin in Bruges could be a Coen. Yeah, he's got Coen's on his mind. Coen's and Tarantino are on his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like an amalgamation of all of my favorite filmmakers.
Yeah, which I'm totally cool with. I'm on board. I like Three Billboards. It's a movie I would love to do on this show just to kind of fucking bullshit about it. I think it's gotten some major backlash, but I really like it. And Woody Harrelson's a big part of it. The cinematographer is Ben Davis. I recognize that name. That's because he's a Marvel guy. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy, Eternals, Captain Marvel.
Damn.
So he's a recent Marvel guy. He did a fucking Doctor Strange, Age of Ultron. He did Guardians of the Galaxy, just the first one. He did Seven Psychopaths, another Martin classic. Kick Ass, yeah. Good, pretty interesting filmography there.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious. I wanted to know if it was like, is it a Deacons I don't know about? But
yeah.
Some about that movie. Maybe it's just Francis McDormand's involvement, or I think McDonagh could definitely. I mean, I don't know if he lists the Coens as his influences, but maybe subconsciously.
Yeah, well, there's definitely something there with the humor that's placed in places that are not normal for audiences. Just kind of. Sometimes the best move in filmmaking is to just simply do opposite of what the mainstream audience is used to. And I think the Coens, they've stuck to that their entire careers. And I think Martin is someone who's done that over, especially in Bruges, Psychopaths. I think those movies have a feel to them that's just kind of silly and slapstick, but also has this very serious undertone. And death. Death is involved.
And I feel like Three Billboards is the antithesis of that. It's a serious movie with like just the right amount of comedy.
Yeah, it's yeah. And McDormand, certainly, she's so good at that. She's so good at being funny while being inside of a very, very serious scene. I love that about her. She's obviously the perfect pairing for the Coens. She's someone who's very vital to their filmography. It would be really cool if she just showed up for a little bit in No Country. I would love that.
Yeah, this is actually like, apart from I think Stephen Root, this is all newcomers to them. They're working with everybody in this movie for the first time. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And Stephen Root is not, this like fucking mega star. He's a guy that, he's a guy that you really have to. He's one of those guys, but you really got to know your stuff to recognize Root right away. Yeah,
he popped up in this week's episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm like, what? Stephen Root? He's just
perfect.
I love that guy.
Me too. One of my favorite things he's ever done is that stint that he's in Fargo season 1. He's friends with Billy Bob Thornton, and Billy Bob Thornton's always like aces, and he's living like in Kansas City or something. I can't totally remember. It's been a while since I've seen that, but he kills him. Billy Bob Thornton kills Steve Root, and he's like, "Is this what you want, Lester?" They're in the elevator, and he just fucking snipes these people out. Yeah, so crazy. That show is awesome.
That first season was so good. The rest of the show never lived up to it. Like I liked the rest of the show, but nothing. It was never as good.
Nah, season 4 for me was weak.
I
It was
stopped
just
watching it. I gave it 2 episodes and was like, I'm not digging this.
yeah. Season 3 has some decent stuff. I love Ewan McGregor in it. Season 2 has potential to be like unbelievable, but season 1 is unbelievable and is like must see TV. It's one of my favorite seasons of TV of all time.
Yeah, pretty badass. But back to Woody. On a whim, I was at my local half price books and I happened to find The People versus Larry Flint, and I bought it just for the hell of it. So I'll be watching that. So hopefully soon. I've always wanted to see that.
It's awesome. You're gonna love it. That movie's great. It's a good double feature with Boogie Nights. That's a fun one there. Yeah. That's it for the performers. We got of course covered the Coens, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, Tommy Lee, Woody Harrelson. It's time to talk about Mr. Deakins for the second week in a row. Roger Deakins can make an argument that this is his masterpiece. The fact that he gets nominated twice in the same year for No Country and The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, unbelievable movie. Has an argument for being in the Best Picture category. Just I don't think enough people saw it. That's just bonkers. It's just crazy to have people that are doing that. And of course, it was him. I mean, we've gone over this so many times on this show. He's just the man. He makes every movie that he works on. He's usually the most impressive part of it. And No Country, you could argue that he's the best part of it. He's some of the shots in No Country are fucking breathtaking. And operating in West Texas and Del Rio and Odessa, if you're from Texas, these places are beautiful, right? But I think for some people who are not from here are just like, fuck, it looks hot as hell there. It looks miserable. It's all these old people who are like just here and they don't know where to go. But for Texans, there's something kind of endearing about it. And I do like that area of Texas. I like West Texas. I wouldn't go as far as El Paso because that's like 8 hours away from San Antonio, and it is a different kind of heat that brews there. But Odessa, not terribly far from here. Del Rio, not terribly far. Eagle Pass, these places that are big points in the movie. Deakins captures them to perfection. It's probably the reason why I think it's one of the best Texan movies of all time, is actually capturing that 1980 West Texas vibe that's going on, where you got this fucking he's a veteran, Josh Brolin's character, Moss, and he's a hunter and he lives in the fucking trailer park. And you got Bardem, who's this clearly kind of Hispanic Latino character who's just working for different people as a hitman and fucking taking what's his. And Tommy Lee Jones, who like represents Texas. Let's be honest. He had a house not far from where I live for years and years and years in San Antonio. And I'm not sure where he lives right now. I think it's still in San Antonio, but not in the same house. And you could drive by that house all the time. You could see his cars, you could see his driveway. And I've met him one time just in San Antonio. He's the coolest motherfucker ever. Tommy Lee's the man. I don't love every performance of his, but I love him. He's one of those guys that I'll watch even if it's bad. And Woody Harrelson, another guy who all these things just make it this Texan kind of Texan vibe, and Deakins is at the forefront of it, just capturing the landscape beautifully.
I spoke recently on the show about how Deakins always seems to be making his own kind of movie, like a bit separately from the director, and then those two ideas combine into making the masterpiece. In this case, I feel like the Coens were making a crime thriller, and Deakins was making a fucking Western. And
yes,
that combination is what makes No Country for Old Men feel so damn unique. It's a modern day neo-noir Western.
Yeah. It totally, it understands its place within the genre. And Westerns, the best Westerns do that, where it's kind of this Uh, there's always a character like Tommy Lee, like Ed Tom Bell. Of course, like Clint Eastwood plays guys like that all the time who are just kind of at the last run of their little stint, and they're kind of like just pondering what the fuck was I doing the whole time, and westerns, the best ones understand that and reckon with it and make you kind of, as an audience, make you reckon with it, and it's so cool. And this one, yeah, this is straight up the best modern western I've seen. I mean, in the century, like it's not even close.
No, it's got all the great elements of a great western. You've got kind of the nameless drifter bad guy. You've got the larger than life situation. Rancher stumbles onto drug money. You've got the old sheriff who doesn't quite make sense in this world anymore. And then, of course, the beautiful landscape of Texas.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
Yeah. Stunning stuff. There's a few shots, especially like the first hour of the film. When I was watching it last night, I was like, oh my God. I just started smiling because I couldn't believe how every time I watch it, I'm like, this movie is so good. It's so well done, well shot. And Deakins, you just gain an appreciation for him every time you watch one of his films. You realize you're in the hands of a genius, and a guy who has no business filming Texas the way he does. I've heard someone, I cannot remember who it was, talking about No Country. There's some writer I like. I cannot remember who it was though, because I've listened to all kinds of interviews about No Country and people just oozing with passion about it. He was saying that the best part of No Country is that it never plainly says to you, obviously, that it's 1980. You have to really pay attention. There's that one scene, the coin toss scene with the gas station clerk, where he says 1958, that was 22 years ago. And you have to really be paying attention to catch that and be like, oh, it's 1980. That's why they're all dressed this way. That's why there's no cell phones, this and that, But the movie could be 1880, could be 1940, 1980, 1999. It could be right fucking now, West Texas is just this way. There's still issues with especially that area of Texas near the border. There's still lots of issues with the cartel and drugs and violence in that area. It's just timeless. This movie is just fucking timeless. And Deakins, being from England, again, has no business being this good at shooting Texas.
That man could film a fucking a fence drying, and I'd watch every second of it. It could be 2.5 hours long, and I'll be like just mesmerized. The guy wields a camera like it's a fucking magic wand. I don't know how he does it, but he is the best in the business.
Yeah, I think so. I have guys that I really, really adore, and I like their style and whatnot. But Deakins kind of captures all that, like mainstream, just solid, just using these wonderful cameras. And he works on cool fucking movies. He works with cool fucking directors. I love him.
Is he the guy we've talked about the most on this show?
Probably. And he's got it. We have the award named after him. He's just the man. I remember, I'll never forget when I realized who he was, and I was like, oh wow, that's okay. This makes sense. You kind of add it all up, and I want to appreciate him as much as we can. He was born in 1949, and you don't know how long guys are going to be working for, right? As we saw, rest in peace to Bob Saget out of nowhere. He passed away at 65 years old. You just never fucking know what's going to happen to anybody. And I want to give people their flowers while they're here, and Deakins is at the front of that fucking line.
Yeah. And I really hope, he's passed on his supernatural gifts to a successor or something like that. I hope the legacy continues, and I hope he has an apprentice or something. I know I'm being all mystical about this, but I truly do think this guy exists on a different realm than the rest of us.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I think he's uber important to what you and I care about most. Yeah, he'll come up again in many episodes because when you do Shawshank and No Country 2 weeks in a row, sorry, that shit's gonna happen. Another guy who worked with the or has worked with the Coens a ton is Jess Gonshore. He's the production designer, art direction guy for a lot of their movies. He was nominated for True Grit art direction, and then Hail Caesar production design. And he's kind of all throughout their filmography. He worked on No Country for Old Men, one of the more underrated parts of the film. You know, you get blown away by the performances and Deakins and the way it's directed. But there's some really cool stuff that if you are paying attention, you do see that's 1980. You know, I think the scene when Brolin has left and Anton has gone to Javier Bardem has gone to the trailer, and he sits down with the milk and is looking at the TV, and then Tommy Lee Jones does the same thing. Oh, the milk's still fucking sweating, and then sits down. Those things matter, you know, the way the table looks, the way the couch looks, the way the TV looks. I would love to do that as a job. Wouldn't that be so much fun to just find props and fucking make a room look the way it is? That
would be fantastic. What is it about super sadistic Oscar-winning villains and fucking milk?
I don't know. I don't know.
2 years later, you know, you get Landa and his whole thing with milk. It's funny to me. Milk. It's like people who drink milk are creepy, I guess.
Yeah. I think I would hope for me as a fan. I always think of when I see someone brutal, someone evil drinking milk. I always think of Alex from A Clockwork Orange, and I'm hoping that's the inspiration. But you never know.
I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, fucking Malcolm McDowell, right? he's the scariest milk drinker of all time, you know, because they're like, we go to the milk bar, we go to the Corova milk bar just to fucking, you know, drink this shit. It's so cool. Last person we'll talk about before we get to the 80th Academy Awards, Mary Zafriz. She is a very, very talented costume designer. Has worked with the Coens many times. Been nominated 3 times for True Grit, 2010, La La Land 2016, and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs 2018. So this is not someone to be taken lightly. She also, if you look at her filmography, also worked on a movie I don't love, but captures one thing good, and that's Indiana Jones, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Movie's not good, but they do capture that wonderful, you know, the color palette and the costumes, and you're like, oh, this is great. Even if the movie's shit, you still get that vibe, right? Hats off to her for capturing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to call Crystal Skull shit. I've warmed up to it now. It's not great, that's for damn sure, but it's not horrendous. Like I include it in my Indiana Jones marathon now. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get hate for that, but fuck it.
No. I think you're a completionist, and you like to include everything, even if it's not up to standard. Even if it's not up to standard. This woman, Mary Zafriz, also worked on one of my favorite comedies of all time, Dumb and Dumber from 1994. So that's a lot of fun. Big Lebowski. There's Something About Mary. Any Given Sunday. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Ghost World. Love that movie from 2001. Catch Me If You Can 2002. Great shit. More Coen stuff. Intolerable Cruelty. Lady Killers. Burn After Reading. Oh my god, I love Burn After Reading. It's so good. A Serious Man. Iron Man 2. Yeah, she's got a cool Interstellar. Fucking First Man from 2018. Underrated. She's got a cool filmography. A costume designer. Obviously worked on all kinds of different things, and those people matter a whole lot to what we see.
Yeah, I'll keep her in mind when I watch The Tragedy of Macbeth. That's her too.
There you go. That's coming out. Yeah. And then a movie called Babylon that's supposed to come out this year. What is that? I've seen that.
That's Damien Chazelle's new movie.
Oh Christ. Well, she worked on La La Land, so that makes sense. Yes, with Tobey Maguire, Olivia Wilde, and Brad Pitt. Okay. Rumored to be set in period Hollywood.
Oh fuck.
I'm in. I mean, I'm kind of in. I'm not crazy. La La Land is fine. I think it's a decent flick. But Whiplash. I mean, he stole my heart. Damien Chazelle. I'll kind of watch anything he does.
Yeah, and you put a movie in period Hollywood, we're gonna sign up immediately. That's our shit.
Yeah, and he's already shown, not with Whiplash, but with La La Land, he showed his kind of passions there, right? You know, talking a lot about Casablanca in that movie and shouting out different old films. And so that's got my attention. That kind of adoration for Hollywood and movie making and the Mecca. So yeah, I'm fucking in. But let's talk about the 80th Academy Awards, man. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna work our way to the Best Picture group, which of course is when we'll kind of rank the films, the 5 films from the Best Picture category. But we want to start. We want to do them all. We want to do all 8 that No Country was up for. There's 4 winners, so we'll do the 4 ones it lost. Right? What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. Let's have some fucking fun here. This is too much fun. No Country again. Did Shawshank last week. I feel like I'm in heaven just talking about these movies. These are just straight up 10s in my mind. There's nothing to take that away from them. Let's do sound editing. Sound editing, which you got to scroll the way down. Again, Connor and I use Wikipedia because it just organizes it very easily for you to just kind of look at this stuff. This is actually a really cool group. God, No Country for Old Men, Ratatouille, There Will Be Blood, Transformers, and the winner, Bourne Ultimatum. What the fuck? What say you?
Oh boy, sound editing. Okay. All right. It's been a very long time since I saw the Bourne Ultimatum.
Same. Yeah.
I don't remember anything about those movies.
They're fun action movies. Yeah. Yeah.
Best sound editing. I'm gonna give this one to There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, no qualms here. I mean, this is where I always like with these categories. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, Transformers, I get it, but I'm in the boat where the movie should probably be. I don't know. I kind of like the first Transformers, but comparing it to There Will Be Blood or No Country is just hard. It's just hard to even kind of wrap your head around it.
I don't think there's any situation in the world where Michael Bay gets to sit in the same place as the Coen brothers and Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, or Pixar, you know,
yeah,
with Ratatouille.
Or even fucking Paul Greengrass. Like, yeah, I like him, sure.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah. I think I'm with you. There Will Be Blood. There's some stuff in that movie that is so shocking, especially that first 15 minutes. There's just straight up no dialogue, and you're just hearing these kind of just gritty sounds, and it's all you need. It's just wonderful filmmaking from PTA and company.
The brutal, just like one vicious like violin string score at the beginning of that movie, and then just watching Daniel, pickaxe his way to becoming an oil baron. You don't need the dialogue. It tells you exactly everything you need to know is right there. And just, the sound of the pick hitting the rock, the oil explosion, the squish of the oil mud. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to have one of those hats that Daniel Plainview is wearing, at the beginning, especially when he's wearing that hat and he puts some of the oil on the baby, on Henry. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking monster. He's an absolute monster. But yeah, the sound editing, I'm not ever going to go crazy about these categories. I'm never going to be like, no, that's fucked up. It's a lot easier to talk about performances that way. So sound mixing, 3:10 to Yuma. Oh dear. Very underrated. Love that movie. No Country for Old Men, Ratatouille, again, Transformers, and the winner, again, Bourne Ultimatum.
3:10 to Yuma is the first Western I ever saw.
And probably for me too. I mean, I saw that. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it very shortly after.
I was just along with my family on like a shopping trip at the mall or something, and they wanted to see 3:10 to Yuma. And it's not like I was going to go wait in the car. I went with them, and I was like, this is cool. And I never looked back. That movie's still one of my favorite Westerns of all time.
Yeah. God, it's so good.
Sound mixing is the same bunch, just swap out There Will Be Blood and 3:10 to Yuma for some reason. Fuck it. All right. No Country for Old Men can have this one. I don't know how to judge sound editing and sound mixing.
No, neither do I. Exactly why I'm not going to go crazy. And this is exactly why half the time they don't even fucking show these on TV when they do the awards. They're just one of those that just happens. And that's kind of sad. They mean a lot to the final product, but it's not very much fun to compare movies like, again, Transformers and Ratatouille to 310 to Yuma. It's just difficult. But hats off to Bourne Ultimatum. If we ever wanted to do the Bourne movies, they got a spot here.
Yeah, well, we can at least do part 3.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get down to some fun stuff here. The rest of these are huge. Best achievement in film editing. This is where you gotta make your moves. I don't know why sound mixing and sound editing is ahead of film editing on Wikipedia, but so be it. Here we go. Here's one movie I haven't seen from this ceremony that I'm dying to see. I actually tried to find it. Could not find it on a streaming service, so I'll see it one day. It's called The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. You got Into the Wild, awesome movie. No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, and the winner, Bourne Ultimatum. Three golden statues for Bourne Ultimatum.
I feel like the Bourne Ultimatum is like the cool kid who wants everybody to win, and he's like pushing No Country and There Will Be Blood away from like having a fist fight. He's like, no, I'll take this one and we'll all be happy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, my oldest brother is going to be so mad at me if he listens to this because he loves the Bourne movies. And we're just kind of giving him hell. I like them. I do. I really like Bourne Supremacy, the second one. Ultimatum from those 3. Ultimatum's my least favorite. Identity's pretty good, the first one, and then the one with Jeremy Renner is fine. Legacy, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah,
and then Jason Bourne from 2016 is whatever. It's just not my cup of tea. But I do like a lot of moments from the film. I like the soundtrack. I like the score, but I don't really go back to them a lot, and I'm just not crazy about them. There's just a lot of way better movies, in my opinion, from this ceremony.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of thoughts regarding the Bourne movies. I've seen them. I watched them in high school, and I thought these are pretty good. But then I never really looked back. And then the Renner one I didn't care for, and the 2016 one I felt was unnecessary. I got so tired of this is the real bad guy behind the conspiracy. Every single movie.
Yeah, it's a bit redundant, right? If it's not your cup of tea, then you're gonna get tired.
I never liked espionage thrillers. I always feel like they're the same movie done 100 times. There's very few to kind of very, very little to differentiate them from one another. So yeah, not really my cup of tea. I'm going to give this one to There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, me too. Definitely going to give it to There Will Be Blood. And it's just funny. It's funny that you're such a huge Bond fan. And then I've heard you talk about other kind of sort of franchises that deal with like a solo guy who's like fucking mysterious, but Bond is just is in a different realm, right? And has like 30 movies. So,
well, here's the thing: Bond didn't become an espionage thriller franchise until Daniel Craig showed up, and that's when they were trying to emulate Bourne to get more money because the Brosnan films were bombing. So most of the Bond franchise is fun, outrageous, ridiculous action. And I love that. And the Craig films are great, but there is something to be said about, should James Bond really be fighting post 9/11 terrorism? Like, is that really what we need?
Yeah. And there's a specific shot that is in Quantum of Solace where Craig jumps through like a skinny window and it looks exactly like a shot from Bourne Ultimatum. It looks exactly like a shot that Matt Damon's like fucking, and
that's
Matt
not
Damon,
an accident.
Yeah, exactly. So good point. Good. I like that. Yeah. I think no, there's no arguments here. When it comes to There Will Be Blood, it's just kind of in a different realm with the way it jumps over 20 years and you don't feel it. You're like, this is just seamless and fucking money the whole time, Yeah. They don't really spell it out. They don't totally spell it out to you. They show you nice little title cards and then you see it through Daniel Plainview's fucking face and how it's just like aged somehow. Daniel Day-Lewis is not only can he act great, but he just can age himself through filming one film. He's ridiculous. Just fucking ridiculous. We'll talk about him soon. Cinematography. Best cinematography. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, Roger Deakins. Atonement, Seamus McGarvey. Don't know if Atonement should be here. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Janusz Kaminski. No Country for Old Men, Roger Deakins. And the winner, There Will Be Blood, Robert Elswit. Oh boy, this is a group. This is a group. I would actually swap Seamus out for another Robert Elswit performance, which is he was the cinematographer for Michael Clayton. I think Michael Clayton looks fucking gorgeous. It's one of my favorite parts of that movie. And that would be really cool because you would have 2 Robert Elswits and 2 Roger Deakins in the same category.
I'd be fucking terrified to be the 5th guy.
Yeah, sorry, Janusz Kaminski, you're fucked. Yeah.
Oh boy, this is a hard one. I mean, this whole damn Oscars really is a fucking war between No Country and There Will Be Blood.
Yep.
It's a toss up on almost every category. They're both so fucking good.
It's like Chinatown versus Godfather Part 2. It's just like these both have a lot to say. Yeah.
Christ, cinematography. Oh man. All right. I'm glad There Will Be Blood took it, but I personally give this to Roger Deakins for No Country for Old Men.
I actually do too. I think this yeah. I mean, I talked about how Shawshank's one of Deakins' best. No Country is just in its own place, and I don't like when. I mean, this just happens because this is the name of the game. This is when you award movies once a year. This is just what's going to happen. But his 2 wins for 1917 and Blade Runner, in my opinion, are not nearly as good as No Country. I mean, they're great and they have their own things that they're offering. And 1917 is very unique, and Blade Runner 2049 is like, what is this? How is this the guy who also did Shawshank? But No Country is a feat in its own right. And I kind of wish he would have won for that. But I mean, good night. Robert Elswit is wicked talented. One of my favorite cinematographers of all time. He's done a lot of PTA films. They have a very collaborative, workplace. Those 2 guys are camera geniuses, and them working together is a treat. There Will Be Blood, just like No Country, has some shots where it's like this is why you watch movies. To see stuff like this, to see the landscape, to see, especially in American filmmaking, to see America in this way, right, is breathtaking. Yeah,
I got nothing to add to that. That's very well said.
God, what a cool group. I really got to see. We both. I don't know if you've seen it. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Have you seen that one? Yeah,
I have not.
Yeah, we got to check that movie out. Apparently, it's really good. I was reading Letterboxd reviews, and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this one. It seems to have aged well, and that's always good with a movie that's 15 years old. All right, which one you want to do? Obviously, we're saving Best Picture for last. You want to do screenplay, directing, screen? Okay, let's do screenplay first. Fucking shit. This is a good group. This is Best Adapted Screenplay. I actually really like the original screenplay group, but this is where we're at. This is a good group. We have Atonement by Christopher Hampton, based on the novel by Ian McEwan. We have Away From Her by Sarah Polley, based on the short story The Bear Went Over the Mountain by Elise Munro. Then we have The Diving Bell and the Butterfly by Ronald Harwood, based on memoir by Jean-Dominique Bauby. Then we have There Will Be Blood, Paul Thomas Anderson, based on the novel Oil by Upton Sinclair. Oof. To me, this is, again, a battle between No Country and There Will Be Blood. Like, which do you like watching Javier Bardem fucking slice people up with his words, or do you like watching Daniel Plainview, Daniel Day-Lewis yell at people,
Well, I'll say this. Paul Thomas Anderson's movie is very, very loosely an adaptation of Oil. Like,
yes,
this is all Paul Thomas Anderson, this screenplay.
Pretty much.
And the Coens, I tried to read Cormac McCarthy's No Country for Old Men, and that book is structured so fucking weirdly. It's just, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But to me, this should go to Paul Thomas Anderson. There Will Be Blood.
Man, this is hard.
Daniel Day-Lewis is only as good as the words he is given.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, God, how lucky are we to have guys like the Coens and Paul Thomas Anderson writing movies? We need more people like this because the actors deserve, like performers deserve it,
Yeah.
Good performers deserve great shit to say. And I mean, and we can go on and on about There Will Be Blood because that's not the episode we're doing today. And one day we will. But giving out an award for best line for There Will Be Blood is impossible. It's got so much funny shit. My favorite little bit is he's having a meeting and someone kind of interrupts him and he says, "Don't be thick in front of me, Al." Like, what the fuck is this? It's so good.
Mine is when he just got reunited with his kid, and the guy who told him how to raise his family is having lunch at the other table, and Daniel just walks over there. It's like, "Don't you look a fool?"
Yeah,
just, there's my son. I'm taking care of him now. And the guy's just
he's drunk as shit. Yeah,
he grabs the guy's whiskey, just walks away. God damn, there's lines in There Will Be Blood that belong in a fucking Hall of Fame. That screenplay is perfect.
Yeah. And we recently did The Master. Yeah, I've just been in heaven on this show. And when we talked about ranking PTA's films, There Will Be Blood is to me the best, partly because he's on a different fucking different level with the screenplay. And it captures, early 1900s or early 20th century perfectly, Christianity, capitalism, colliding, and then the little stuff. One of my favorite things about these two movies going against each other is it's probably two of my favorite final lines from any movie are Tommy Lee Jones saying, "Then I woke up," and then Daniel Day-Lewis saying, "I'm finished."
That whole scene with Eli in the fucking bowling alley, Christ, you could crop that out and it could win best short film. And that is just gorgeous.
Yeah, because you don't really need. That's one of my favorite things about PTA is he's so about the journey and so about each moment being worth it and not wasting any time, and just having fun with every little thing he can. And you could cut out so many bits. You could cut out the first 15 minutes where there is no dialogue and be like, "Oh, that's like a genius short film where it's this kind of ambiguous, oh, what's going on here? These guys are finding oil. I wonder what happened after." And then you could take him and this pastor, and this pastor is just, fucking Paul Dano. How the hell did he go toe to toe? How did he do that with the legend himself? Maybe our best actor of our time.
Where the hell is his best supporting actor nomination?
I don't know. I don't think Paul Dano's ever been properly appreciated. I think it's coming in March. Maybe the Batman. I think it's coming. I think people, I think it takes something that big and makes that much money and everybody sees it and they're like, oh, because, I would compare, someone like him who's got this really cool career, someone like early on in his career, Willem Dafoe, didn't get the right praise, didn't get the right adoration. But when you do something like Green Goblin, it's like, oh, and then everybody else goes back and sees everything else. And they're like, this guy's just incredible no matter what. And I think Paul Dano's going to have a career like that, where we're going to look back at his character, fucking Dwayne from Little Miss Sunshine, and be like, that guy was a genius. His directorial debut, Wildlife, this guy's 30 years old and he's directing this incredible film that just captures family and how tough it is and circumstance. And he's, if you listen to him talk, he's a fucking genius when it comes to movies. He can go on and on and on.
I watched his Criterion Closet video and I was like, this guy just likes movies. He's just happy to be here.
Yes. He's so excited to just be a part of it. Right. And those are my favorite guys.
I noticed, I think it's cool that No Country and There Will Be Blood were head to head with each other, because on the grand scale, they're both telling a very similar story about the evils and fires of capitalism kind of taking over an old world that's not ready to move on. You've got Plainview and his oil tycoon self taking on Eli and the church, and then you've got Anton and the Money kind of bulldozing over Sheriff Tommy Lee Jones's perfect little Texas world. It's cool. It's very similar in tone and grand scale themes. I like that.
Yeah, this just doesn't happen. This is very, very rare for movies this good to go against each other. And like you said, to have these themes that just kind of line up and creates this double feature that if you have the time, 5 hours, then you're gonna be heavily rewarded. Not only are they both entertaining as hell, but if you're like a filmmaker or someone who wants to write or someone you're gonna learn a lot.
Oh my God.
You're gonna learn a tremendous amount. And since these two movies came out, watch how many things copy them. Watch how many things pay homage to them. And I have no problem with that. If you do it the right way. Again, Bill Hader, I was listening to an interview. He was like, I have a whole episode in Barry, because he directs it and he stars in it. That's basically trying to be No Country, where it has no music and it kind of operates off just off authenticity and rawness and thrilling aspects, and that's so cool. That's so cool that it's just become a part of the DNA of what we love.
As a writer myself, I hope one day to write a character even half as brilliant and layered and devious as Daniel Plainview. I mean, Christ, that's the bar.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's one of my favorite characters, just period. One of my favorite fictional characters ever. And God, has there been someone play Daniel Day-Lewis play someone, like you said, the layers of it, the kind of alcoholism that's throughout it, the way he shoves the Sunday family aside. He doesn't bless the well, so then the well has a lot of problems, and then he's like, okay, I'll give in to your little schemes, but ultimately it's for me to just get my money. It's just genius, and everything's hitting so well, and both these movies kick ass.
There's this whole, this need to be loved that's hidden underneath all of Daniel's bravado. Like, he really does love his son and he wants him to succeed, but at the same time, he will not let himself look weak in any possible way. And that comes back to bite him. He ends up alone and a murderer because he refuses to let anybody help him or let anybody see him as anything other than like the king of oil. And that's only something you really notice on like the third or fourth viewing. And it's so small, but you can see it in his performance. There's this hint of it. And DDL is the master of at a layered performance. Like, he can play 3 different versions of a man at the same time.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, truly incredible. Fuck, man. This is just a great matchup. These two, they're kind of made for each other. So, screenplay, slight edge to There Will Be Blood.
Yep.
Okay. How about directing? We have yeah, here we go. We have everyone else is just like, sorry, you have no chance against these guys. We have Julian Schnabel for The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. There that movie is again. Jason Reitman, Juno. Tony Gilroy, Michael Clayton, Paul Thomas Anderson, There Will Be Blood, and the winners, Joel Cohen and Ethan Cohen for No Country for Old Men.
Once again, this is a head-to-head. There is no one's taking this away.
Like, yeah, I mean, imagine Jason Reitman being in the same room as these guys. God bless him. I love Juno, but no, it ain't happening.
Oh man! All right. So, since I gave screenplay to There Will Be Blood, I am going to give director to the Coen Brothers.
Okay. I gotta go PTA. I gotta Paul Thomas Anderson. Again, 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you never once are like, this is boring. I don't need this. Every scene is just like, it is just fucking rich, just rich. And shout out to, because we're not going to be able to on this episode unless we just do it. Shout out to Johnny Greenwood's score in There Will Be Blood, which matches up just brilliantly. There's one bit where when he first is becoming proper oil man, Daniel Plainview, and there's a track called Open Spaces that plays. And PTA, Robert Elswit, they do this kind of overhead shot of just the desert, and you're like, oh man, I'm at home. This is where I need to be as a viewer, and it's so rewarding to be with these guys. What a cool team, And there's one guy, I can't remember his name. He was supposed to play the other Sunday brother, and he basically got intimidated by everything that was happening, and essentially never acted again.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so was he supposed to play Eli or Paul?
Paul, the first one.
Okay. I can understand if it was Eli. I mean, you're essentially the bad guy, if that's the way you want to look at the movie.
But it was, but the reason it's such an interesting story is because it lines up, and some of them deny it. Some of them, like Daniel Day-Lewis, is like, I didn't try to do anything wrong. I wasn't trying to intimidate him. This is just filmmaking. And there's plenty of people on the crew who were like, we had no idea that he was like feeling that way, this guy. So he's supposed to be, that's towards the beginning of the film. It's like in the first 25, 30 minutes where you see him go to Daniel Plainview and say, hey, there's this land. I'm willing to offer it to you for a sum of money. So it makes sense that at the beginning, this guy was intimidated by whatever was happening on set. And he said, I can't fucking do this. And PTA is a particular guy and wants the right people in each spot. And so he basically was like, hey, you, Paul Dano, you're going to play both brothers. So you're going to be doing this bit, and you're going to be doing the bit as the pastor of the church for the latter part of the movie. And I think it worked out great. I think it's really cool that they're kind of twins, and I think it works out well because Paul Dano is awesome.
I love that it's never addressed, apart from one brief look that Daniel gives Eli when he's like, have we met? Like, he just kind of looks at him like, wait a minute, you're twins?
Yeah.
But he never says anything. It's just in that look, you're like, he's thinking about it right now.
I love when Henry's talking to him about the girl that he likes, the young girl, and he's like, oh, that's the short one? You fuck.
I mean, if you're a newcomer, straight out of film school or the stage, wherever this kid was from, I mean, if you're going to be cast in Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie alongside Daniel Day-Lewis, who you're going to have a significant scene with, I mean, I get it. And also, I do too. You're never going to meet Daniel Day-Lewis. You're going to meet Daniel Plainview because this fucker doesn't break character.
Correct. And that's what I have so much respect for Paul Dano, because Paul Dano is going for it. There's the scene when he's like, out with the devil, and he's screaming at his church, at his congregation. And you're like, this guy's just as fucking bonkers as Daniel Day-Lewis.
Fucking slapping Daniel in front of the congregation to like heal him from Satan. It's fucking crazy. And Daniel just goes along with it because he needs this to work.
I have sinned. Yeah. 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 I mean, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to become an episode about both movies.
Yeah.
Because I really can count on my one hand, how many times two movies this good go at each other at a ceremony. It just doesn't happen. I really do think it's on the same playing field as I'll go ahead and say it, fucking Apocalypse Now versus Kramer, or Chinatown versus Godfather Part 2. It just doesn't happen very often where this kind of shit happens, and it's two movies that deserve every bit of praise they've gotten, and they're at the same ceremony. Because come on, let's be honest. Slumdog Millionaire, fine movie, but if it goes against one of these, it's losing everything. There's no fucking chance. A year later, it's losing everything. Hurt Locker, good movie, does not compare to these two. It's not happening. Most years, both of these movies would win everything, and they go against each other. It's really cool.
It's quite amazing. And then we get to reap the benefits of it, years later, and still get to have this conversation. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And another great thing, it's not just those two. The supporting movies in this ceremony are great. We're about to bring up another one that I love. Let's talk about supporting actor. Casey Affleck, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. That movie probably should have just been called Jesse James.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Yeah, that name, I think that's a big reason why a lot of people just didn't go say it. They were like, what is that?
It sounds like a PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's a great movie. Brad Pitt's wonderful in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Charlie Wilson's War, lights out. Hal Holbrook, Into the Wild, great performance. And Tom Wilkinson, one of the most underrated guys of all time, in Michael Clayton. This is a great group. This is my favorite category of all time is the supporting actor because you get these random ass motherfuckers going against each other, and it's always these really cool character actors. And this is an awesome group.
I am Shiva, the god of death. Yeah, this is this is something special. Oh, all right. So I have not yet seen Jesse James or Into the Wild. I own Jesse James too. I bought it on a whim. I buy a lot of films just like thinking
you'll love that movie. Into the Wild is good, but I don't know. I liked it a lot more when I was younger than I do now. It was very effective when I was like 15, 16, and I was like, whoa, Christopher McCandless, this guy who just went out and lived off the land. Now I'm more kind of like, think maybe you should take care of yourself, kind of thing. I don't know.
See, in my soul, I've always been about 59, 60 years old. So I've always looked at this like, that kid was an idiot. Like, he got himself killed for no reason. So yeah. I've never really wanted to watch the movie, but I will for the sake of future episodes.
Yeah. There you go. And I like Emile Hirsch a lot. And it's fun to see him kind of at the forefront of this movie. Yeah.
Supporting actor, though, I love, Gust Avocados. I think he's such a ridiculous character. When he's screaming at John Slattery about not getting the Helsinki job. Like, I spent years learning Finnish, which would come in handy here in Virginia. It's a great role.
Yeah, he makes that movie for me. Yeah, I like the movie, but I love PSH as Gust.
Oh yeah, and then Tom Wilkinson is great as Arthur. Just this, lawyer on the end of a nervous breakdown. He's got a crisis of conscience. He's got some great moments. I wish he was in the film more, but I get it. And for the story, it makes sense why he disappears halfway through.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Casey Affleck is great. I'm sure Hal Holbrook is great, but nobody was taking this away from Javier.
No, this is easy. Easy. This is the easiest one of the whole ceremony. This and Daniel Day-Lewis for Best Actor they're just easy.
Yeah. Enough said. This was God, I love it when a villain wins an Oscar. I don't know what it is about that, but it just makes me smile.
Yeah, for sure. I like to memorize this stuff, just to have it there, right? Like if you take any given year and try to memorize the 4 performers that won, it's just fun to kind of look at. It's kind of fun to look at the 4 winners from any given year and just look at them. Like, what if they were in a movie together that year? I like doing stuff like that.
Shit.
And this year it'd be Daniel Day-Lewis, Javier Bardem, Tilda Swinton, and Marion Cotillard. Woo! Give me that movie.
I'd watch the fuck out of that. My God.
Yeah, I don't care what they're doing. They could be playing poker. Give me that movie. That would be awesome. But Bardem rivals every not just supporting, but every single Oscar performance win in history. He's right up at the top. Again, I think in modern times, I think it's these two, Daniel Day-Lewis, Javier Bardem. I think it's you got to throw Denzel Washington from Training Day in there. I think that's one of the better ones. J.K. Simmons, I think one of the more underrated ones is Viola Davis in Fences. She's just lights out in that movie. There have been people who have won the Oscar, performers that truly deserve it, And I think this year, I think they did really good.
Hell yeah. I think there's nothing better than paying attention, getting to, experience this shit in real time. Like we have been for the past, 6-7 years at this point, like really paying attention to the Oscars and getting to judge and value these performances for ourselves. I think that's cool. And I like to, not just watch the winners, but the nominees and see was this does this deserve to be here? It's a fun journey that's ongoing, and it really makes you appreciate the work when you're really as honed in as we are.
Yeah, for sure. I love finding random movies because of point of reference, and for instance, the reason I watched Eastern Promises way back when was because Viggo Mortensen was up, you know, and then I realized, oh, I like the guy who directed that movie too. You know, and you make those connections, and it's just worth it. It's very worth it to do that and watch the stuff for yourself that you just know you're gonna dig and you're gonna fucking love. You know, like for you and I, it's horror. You know, it's finding horror movies, horror gems that you're not gonna see here a lot at the Oscars, but you know is right up your alley. And that's the beauty of it, is kind of having your foot in all camps.
Yeah.
And taking from all of them, consuming everything. It's the best. But my favorite thing to do on this show is this right here, is the Best Picture Showdown, is lining up whatever it is. In this case, it's 5 movies. Sometimes it's fucking 8, 9, 10 even. You know, the Academy doesn't know what to do. 5 is my favorite. It's accessible. It's easy to watch all of them within a month's time, right? This group is awesome. We've brought up every single one of these at some point already, and I'm excited to rank them with you. I think this group has no like real weak link. I don't think any of them are anywhere near bad, and that's rare. That's rare. Usually, the last one we did was what, 1961?
Yeah.
And Fanny is straight up bad, straight up not good. And I think this group has nothing close to that. You know, I think they're all worth your time. They're pretty much all accessible right now. One of them is on Stars. Well, 2 of them are on HBO Max. One of them's on Netflix. You know, like these movies are around and you can check them out. So let's do this thing, man. We got The Winner, No Country. We got Atonement, Juno, Michael Clayton, and There Will Be Blood. So I'll let you take it away with your number 5, and let's do this thing.
Like you said, none of these are really bad. But my number 5 is Michael Clayton.
Oh no!
I know. I felt bad the whole time watching it. I'm like, oh, he's not gonna like this.
You didn't like it very much, huh?
I like the opening. I love the ending, but the middle drags. Like there is a lull in this movie where I'm waiting for something to happen.
Okay.
And I hated that. I hated that I felt like that. But the performances are fantastic. Clooney's great. Wilkinson's great. Swinton is great. And then the ending is just so fucking satisfying. But yeah, for me, it took a bit getting there. So I gave this a 7. So this is my number 5.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's very up my alley. I love that one. I'll be talking about it later. My number 5 is Atonement.
Okay.
Atonement is an 8 out of 10 kind of movie for me. I think the first 30 minutes are stunning, are absolutely riveting. Maybe even a little longer than that. I basically think the entire time we were with Keira Knightley, James McAvoy, Saoirse Ronan, Benedict Cumberbatch, all these people at the house, that whole stretch is like unbelievable. And when we find out about this letter, and we find out about a rape, all of those, that whole, it's just, it unfolds like so cinematic, you know, it's so cinematic the way it unfolds. And I think it takes a dip when it changes from that time to 5 years later. And I think it doesn't know how to wrap itself back together, right? And then the ending is so fucking sad and so like, oh my God, what the fuck? I like that the ending is like that it's unrelenting and unforgiving, because it sets it apart from other romance movies. In that way, most romance movies, you know, end like happy go lucky. This one does not. But I hate to be this guy, but I think the minute Saoirse goes away and we get that middle actor playing the kind of 18-year-old version, I think the movie dips significantly. And I still like it. I still think it ends up, you know, getting the landing right at the end. And I think it's worth watching. I don't think this one is on anything, any streaming service. It was on Prime for a while. You let me borrow a DVD. Watched it. So yeah, it's like 2 hours. It's very worth anybody's time who hasn't seen it. But don't expect it to be as good as that first 30, 45 minutes. It just it takes a dip.
Yeah, you're not wrong. My number 4 is Atonement.
Okay.
So I'll just go ahead and say my bit. This is it's an upsetting movie. And a lot of people really hate Saoirse Ronan's character. I don't.
Yeah.
Personally, I think, yeah, she destroyed 2 lives, but she didn't know. She had sufficient evidence to think that McAvoy was a perv. And Keira Knightley could have cleared this all up by saying, like, no, it's cool, he was with me, or like anything. And she doesn't say a damn word because of her reputation or some shit. So I kind of blame her on that. But I just think this movie, it gets major points for refusing to have the fairy tale ending and showing the consequences of lies and misinformation and not fessing up. But I also think it's weird that the person who kind of destroyed their lives then gets to be like a best-selling author. Like, okay, doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, and why on God's green earth does she have the same haircut for like 90 years straight? Why? Like Saoirse, I get it. It's like 1930 something, right? I get it. But after that, and she's like in her fucking 80s as an author, and she's like, this is my last book. It's like, yeah, but why do you have the same fucking haircut? What is the deal here?
Yeah. It's like, having that liar haircut in your like 30s. It's weird.
Yeah. God. It is a solid film. And like you said, it gets points. I'm with you. I think Saoirse, her character, which is just crazy that Saoirse Ronan, like, look at her now, she's just a fucking just unbelievable performer. Is going to be getting Oscar nominations for the next fucking 50 years. She's so good. Yeah, she gets that letter, right? It's the wrong letter. And then she's like, oh my God, it says the C word in here and says a lot of weird stuff. And when you're that age, you just, where's your mind supposed to go? And then the cousin says, Juno Temple, the cousin, is like, yeah, he's a fucking perv, and feeds that to her, feeds into that, and I don't totally blame her for all this stuff. I just think I'm with you. I think the biggest theme here is misinformation, is not communicating properly after things happen. And this family does not communicate properly.
Well, that was, stiff upper lip English, like, family. Yep. You didn't say shit that made the family look bad or made your honor look besmirched. And because of that, a lot of people's lives were fucked.
Yeah.
So that's just the way that time and place worked. I'll never understand that.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever hated a Benedict Cumberbatch character more than in Atonement. I don't think so.
Yeah, a rapist who then marries the victim. Like, what the fuck?
He's a piece of shit. And right from the get-go, you're just like, fuck this guy. The way he's talking, and he's like, they're scrumptious. He's talking about a cocktail that a chocolate cocktail he's gonna make. It's like, fuck off, dude. Go drown. Like, God, he sucks in that movie. It's good. It's a good film. I hope we probably just ruined some of it for people, but if you haven't seen it, it's 15 years late. Fucking hell. So that's your number 4.
Yes.
My number 4 is Juno.
Okay.
Love this movie. Love Juno. I've seen this one a lot. It's kind of like comfort food to me. I like all the performances from Elliot Page, Michael Cera, Jennifer Garner, and Jason Bateman, and J.K. fucking Simmons. They're all great. I like the music references in it. I like that she's all about the late 70s punk era, and Jason Bateman's all about like that early 90s, mid 90s grunge era. It's really cool how they kind of go back and forth. I'm a huge Sonic Youth fan, so it's really funny when she says Sonic Youth, that's just a fucking bunch of noise. I love all that stuff. I love the Dario Argento shout out in the middle of the film when they're watching horror movies together. All those things just add up to this movie I just fucking enjoy. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. I really like it. I would say that it doesn't deserve a spot over something like Zodiac, but I like it a lot. I do like it a lot. I think it's a solid flick.
Yeah, I think you're right. My number 3 is Juno.
There you go.
It's I watched this for the first time when we did our Up in the Air episode, so I get a little bit more Jason Reitman background info. And
there you go.
I really liked it. I was mesmerized. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really cute, really funny. I liked how it treated teenage pregnancy as not the end of somebody's life or even the beginning of somebody's life, just as something that you kind of have to make a decision on. And she didn't make a harsh decision or like a wrong decision. The movie kind of made, argue that there is really no wrong decision here. It's just progressively tougher decisions. But finding a family to adopt the baby and then just kind of going through it and having her support system, it worked. It was something endearingly real about Juno that I really liked.
Yeah. And great screenplay by Diablo Cody. Like great screenplay.
Yeah. I'm so glad she won for that.
Yeah. Best original screenplay. Very cool. And one of my favorite, like, I guess you'd call this like a rom-com coming of age. It's kind of like a genre bender. It's what in that realm of movies, one of my favorite moments and one of the most rewarding moments is when she drops off the letter to their house that says, Vanessa, if you're still in, I'm still in, and then you see that above the baby's crib at the end of the movie. You're like, that's fucking cool as shit. Like that's such a cool moment from Juno.
Yeah.
To kind of say, fuck you, Mark, Jason Bateman's character, who's a complete dick. Should never have been in that relationship in the first place. That's the first problem. Mark and Vanessa do not mesh.
Well, it's so he's a fucking creep the whole time. He's hitting on this teenager who's carrying his, potential adopted child. That's fucking weird. And then to think to tell her where did you think this was going? Like, what did you think this was? Like, how fucked is that? But then also I love that, Mark and Vanessa, not, their breakup doesn't mean she doesn't get to have a baby. There's nothing wrong with being a single parent. I love that this movie did that because, I was raised by a single parent and I fucking despise people who say anything wrong, like anything against single parents. And it was nice to have that shout out.
That's really cool. Right. And it doesn't let Mark off easy. I love when Jennifer Garner's like, look at you, the fucking cool guy, because he bought a loft downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. Fuck you, dude. Like, you're a loser. Like you have a Melvins poster in your room and you're not allowed to put it in any other room because you and your wife just straight up don't get along and you don't know how to communicate. It's just funny how he gets fucked. I love Jason Bateman. He's such a good actor. He does a great job in this movie.
I'd argue nobody plays a better douchebag than Jason Bateman. Like, I don't know what it is about him, but when he's playing an asshole, God, does he deliver? Yeah.
No, he's really good at it. He's a damn fine actor. That guy. He's put together a really cool career. Yes. Juno's good. Juno's a good movie. Solid 8 out of 10 for me. So that's your number 3. My number 3 is Michael Clayton.
Okay.
As you probably could have figured out as we're going along, there's no way those other 2 movies are going to be behind anything. I love Michael Clayton. My favorite, I love George Clooney in it. I love Tom Wilkinson. I love Tilda Swinton, but my favorite part of it is James Newton Howard's score. It's so movie like, a lot of scores, like what Johnny Greenwood does for There Will Be Blood and for Paul Thomas Anderson, what Carter Burwell does for a lot of the Coen films is just complete opposite of what James Newton Howard. He's operating in more like elevated popcorn. It's like, this is what you expect from a movie score, but it's really fucking good. It's really refined and it's really, really solid and kind of rings in your head after you watch it. Michael Clayton's a 9 out of 10 for me. I love Michael Clayton. It's kind of there's those movies, they're kind of like borderline drama thrillers or whatever, and they usually deal with some kind of conspiracy. And these are directed also same guy, State of Play, 2009, same kind of realm, right? Those movies are just kind of like my guilty pleasure. They're just kind of this thing I just do. I don't even know if I call it a guilty pleasure because I'm fucking proud of it. I like it. I don't give a shit. Michael Clayton is like is just my ideal Friday night at 1 a.m. is something like Michael Clayton.
Yeah, I figured. I And maybe it's one of those movies that I'll appreciate a bit more on a second, third viewing because I'll be a little bit more, I'll know what to expect. But I do love. There's moments of this movie I really like the ending when he sets up Tilda Swinton, and then getting in the cab, and then the end credits with just Clooney kind of wondering if he did the right thing and what the next step is. Reminded me a lot of The Graduate.
There you go. Good shout.
Yeah. Thank you, Oscar Sunday.
Yeah. Love Michael. Yeah. Yes. There you go. Oscar Sunday constantly rewarding you, patting you on the back. Michael Clayton is on HBO Max. I definitely suggest people check it out. I think it's one of the films from this ceremony that just not enough people have seen.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And that's because it gets really overshadowed by these next two movies.
Yes, let's get to it. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is There Will Be Blood.
Oh, we reversed.
As much as I do love this movie, I cannot deny my fucking roots as a film fan in the Coen brothers. It's just
it's opposite. Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow we get along. But yeah, we've talked at length about how much we love these films. It's a fucking coin toss. Depends on the day.
Coin toss. Yeah.
Yeah. This right here. That's the most I ever lost on a coin toss.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a very powerful movie, a very cool hero. I guess you could call it a villain's journey as opposed to a hero's journey. There Will Be Blood. Just watching a man be more and more consumed with power and product and capitalism as the world around him suffers because of it. It's powerful. It's an incredible performance. Honestly, this could be career defining if it was anybody but Daniel Day-Lewis, because he's got repeatedly career defining performances.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And then I love Paul Dano's character. He's such a slimy piece of shit. He's the same brand of asshole as Daniel Plainview. Daniel is just very upfront about what kind of prick he is. Eli refuses to admit it until the end, and I fucking love that part when Daniel makes him admit that he's a fraud, and then is like, "Oh, I already bought that land."
Yeah, you stupid fuck. And he's just eating a steak and just chugging fucking moonshine. Yeah, oh my god.
Check fucking mate.
Yeah, major check fucking mate. And then I love how at the end of that, when he says I'm finished, and then There Will Be Blood shows up on the screen, and it's all jolly. And it reminds you, oh, I told you there was gonna be some blood, there's gonna be some blood in this movie. It was bound to happen. PTA just can't help but have fun. He can't fucking help it. Yeah, that's my number 1. My number 2 is No Country. They're both 10 out of 10 movies. They're both, and I'll throw Zodiac in there too. It's 3 of my favorite 25 movies ever in existence, and they all 3 come out the same year. And I feel so lucky to even have those in my life. And No Country, we're about to get into why I love it so much with our awards for it. It's just through and through masterpiece. But I'm like you. I kind of have to go with my heart, and at the end of the day, my heart lies with Mr. Paul Thomas Anderson and his work. And I think they both have. I think there's a few movies that you can kind of say are kind of signature trademark films, and it just happens that PTA and the Coens have their trademark signature films in the same year. And not only that, but match those up against any movie from the entire century, and they go the distance with them.
This is wow. This is definitely one of those rare occasions where the Academy, they got it right. I mean, this is like we were talking about when we did The Master. My thoughts on Inherent Vice was that it wouldn't be the film I would use to introduce anybody to Paul Thomas Anderson. Whereas There Will Be Blood and No Country, if I want to introduce somebody to the work of these fine filmmakers, these are the films I would use.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I can't argue with that. So with that being said, do you have these both as are they 9s? Are they 10s? Where are they? Where's There Will Be Blood and No Country?
There Will Be Blood was an 8 until this recent viewing, and now that's a 9, and No Country is a 9 as well.
Okay, so it's 10-10 for me, 9-9 for you. So yeah, it's just this neck and neck, like, oh, what the fuck type thing. Is Zodiac better than these movies?
Fuck. I don't know.
Does it deserve to be there and rival them? You know?
Yeah, I don't know what better means anymore. But
for you, like better in your mind, if you're like, no, this movie is just the shit, you know. That's what we do with these rankings, you know.
Yeah, it's up there. It's pretty on par. I've had that as a 9 as well. This, you know, if 2007 could be represented as like the best of the like 3 best films, it would be those 3 movies. I don't think anyone will argue that.
Not super bad? No, I'm just kidding.
Where is Shrek the Third? Like, are we not going to talk about this?
Yeah. Well, and you know, I'm a big Wes Anderson fan, and he had a movie come out this year too. So it's just bonkers. You know, Darjeeling. I love Darjeeling. It's got its issues, but Christ, you know, this year is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, fucking Hot Fuzz, Sweeney Todd, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Like, there's so many incredible films from 07.
Yeah, great fucking year. I love it, man. I love doing this. I knew the whole time it was going to come down to which one is it? Is it No Country? And I'm glad you picked No Country as number 1, and I picked There Will Be Blood as number 1. All right, on any given day, I'm with you. I think it's a coin toss. So with that being said, let's give some awards out to No Country because it deserves all the praise it gets, and let's keep talking about it. We have the Quentin Tarantino Award for Best Quote. We have the Ennio Morricone Award for Best Music Moment, which is pretty tough with No Country. Yeah. We have the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for Best Performance. I think we know what's coming there. And then we have the Roger Deakins Award for Best Scene. So take it away with your Tarantino.
You got it, friendo.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 lines. One of them you already mentioned earlier. It's when Moss decides to go back out there. His wife's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm fixing to do something dumber than hell, but I'm going anyways."
Yeah.
It's a great line, but I also think it kind of defines the movie. It was what I was going to mention earlier, decided to save it for now. This movie punishes everyone who does the right thing.
Yeah.
This movie is all about, you know, the devil will win out eventually. And Javier is the devil. It's fascinating. Anyone who tries to do something good gets blown away or fucked up. It's brilliant. This is such an unforgiving film.
Yeah. And Anton, basically the devil himself, fucking buys those kids off at the end of the movie. And he's like, fucking, I'm taking over the next generation too, bitch. Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah, we'll get more into it. Yeah. Then my other 2 lines are from Anton. The first, this is when he confronts Carson in the hotel room.
Oh,
just Carson walking up the stairs, Anton appears fucking behind him,
just limping. Yeah, like he's fucking. And Carson knows. He knows. He's like, oh shit.
Jesus. He tells Carson, "Let me ask you something. If the rule you followed brought you to this, of what use was the rule?" Like, way to make a man question his entire ideology before you blow him away. Talk about torture. Just he's making Carson just like question who he is at his core before he kills him. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's some fucking Jules Winfield Ezekiel 25:17 shit. You know, it's like, whoa, okay. Oh man.
You know, if God really led you here, like, is that someone you want to believe in? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, this is not what I want to think about before I'm about to die, before I'm about to go either up or down. This is not the shit I want on my brain.
I love when Carson says, "You go to hell," and Anton's just like, "All right," and keeps going, just keeps fucking slicing him up.
Oh,
or that when he picks his feet up from the blood touching his boot. He's like, nope, and puts him up like he rests his boot. The way he does Carson is just so bad. I love it.
I would love to see like where this rivalry came from, because there is such history here, and it's so great. And then my third line is when Moss calls Carson and Anton answers and gives him an ultimatum and tells Moss, I won't tell you can save yourself because you can't. Like, what a cold-blooded thing to say to somebody. Like, regardless of how this pans out, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. And Moss was warned by Wells. He was like, he's going to kill you for inconveniencing him, you know? Oh, man. So good. I love that shit. Yeah. Anton has about 30 lines that could be in a museum, you know? It's that good.
His character is like it's the personification of evil itself. Like everything, you know, guy gets shot, guy gets, you know, in a car accident, breaks an arm. Nothing stops this man. He doesn't grimace the entire fucking movie. I don't think he feels pain. Like, I wonder if that's part of the character that we were never told. Like, can he feel pain?
The scene where he fixes his leg is breathtaking. He's like, this guy has done this a million times, and he'll do it a million times more to get his way, you know? God, what a character. Yeah. Oh, man. I thought about this one for a long time today, and I couldn't get Tommy Lee Jones' voice out of my head. I was going between the finishing lines where he's talking about the two dreams he had, but the first lines of the movie is what I went with. What Ed Tom Bell opens this up with, and he says, "I was sheriff of this county when I was 25 years old. Hard to believe. My grandfather was a lawman, father too. Me and him was sheriffs at the same time. Him up in Plano, me out here. I think he's pretty proud of that. I know I was." So good. Some of the old time sheriffs never even wore a gun. A lot of folks find that hard to believe. Jim Scarborough never carried one. That's the younger Jim. Gaston Boykins wouldn't wear one up in Comanche County. I always like to hear about the old timers. Never missed a chance to do so. You can't help but compare yourself against the old timers. Can't help but wonder how they would have operated in these times. There was this boy I sent to the electric chair at Huntsville Hill here a while back. My arrest and my testimony. He killed a 14-year-old girl. Paper said it was a crime of passion, but he told me there wasn't any passion to it. Told me that he'd been planning to kill somebody for about as long as he could remember. Said that if they turned him out, he'd do it again. Said he was going to hell. Be there in about 15 minutes. I don't know what to make of that. I sure don't. The crime you see now, it's hard to even take its measure. It's not that I'm afraid of it. I always knew you had to be willing to die even to do this job. But I don't want to push my chips forward and go out and meet something I don't understand. A man would have to put his soul at hazard. He'd have to say, okay, I'll be a part of this world. Fuck.
Christ.
Just fucking bonkers. There's so much in that is like, I mean, I love when a screenplay just sets you up for what you're about to go into, and okay, I'll be a part of this world, you know, and then of course him at the end admitting to, I think it's his uncle or his cousin at that shack, and he's like, I'm overmatched, man. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm looking at these days, you know, and that goes back to the beginning when he's talking about this shit that's just crazy, you know, and he has moments, he has these lapses where he says his mind wanders, and he just talks about the darkest shit. He's like reading the newspaper. He's like, yeah, listen here, you know, there's a couple out in California. They bury bodies in their backyard, you know. He's like, the only reason they got caught is because someone naked with only a leash on ran out, you know. It's like, what the fuck consumes this guy, you know? And it's just years of being in this world, of being a sheriff and seeing evil over and over. Just crazy.
Oh, it reminded me so much of Sam Elliott's narration in Lebowski. Like, just setting the standard of this world, of the story that's about to unfold, and the people you're about to interact with. Like, it's a story that's going to go on with or without you. And I love that. Like the phrase, you know, Jim Scarborough, that's the younger Jim. Like, we're supposed to be like, okay, yeah, I know him. Move on. Like, continue.
Yeah, as if we're supposed to know just where Comanche County is. You know, he it's like he's talking to his brother or something. You know, it's just weird.
Yeah, the Coens with the Coens, you feel like you're just like a guest along for the ride. Like this wasn't made for you. You just happened to be watching it.
Yes. Yeah. You're a bystander, just like everybody else. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Fucking A, man. Just such control. When you start No Country for Old Men, it puts you in this place. And then immediately you say Anton Chigurh fucking choke a guy out, and you're like, oh, that's what he means. Okay, fucking hell. Jesus. The Ennio Morricone Award. This one's the hardest because No Country is famous for not having any a score or really any music at all going on. And they, that's a big decision. That's a huge decision. And I think it works out very well for this film. It kind of puts it in its own little place. But they have Carter Burwell at their dispense always. This guy works with them on every film, basically. So it wasn't like they couldn't find someone amazing to make music. And I'm sure the music would have been great for No Country, but they chose to make that decision. So there's very few things you can choose for this.
Well, Carter Burwell is still credited as like music by, and I looked into that, and he recorded about 15 minutes worth of ambient sound. That's their score. Just like nothing in the background. They had nothing recorded for the movie.
It's insane.
But I went with the one like real music scene of the movie, and that's in when Moss wakes up in Mexico, and the mariachi band is just in his face, and he's like, okay, yep, Mexico.
Yeah. Great scene where he throws the suitcase, and then he's like fucking like about to die. And if those guys weren't there, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, just look at that wound. Like he was bleeding out bad. Like I don't know how he made it that far.
Yeah, because he's just a different breed. That guy, he's the ultimate badass. I chose the credit song "Blood Trails" by Carter Burwell when the end credits play. After Ed Tom Bell says, "Then I woke up," and you can hear it's such a it's on par with any ending I've ever seen. It black, and you can hear the clock in his house ticking. And it's, he's like, what did I do all of this for? I'm retired now. Why did I do all of this? And like, now it's about to just be over. I'm about to just fucking, I'm retired, and next step is death. And the clock is literally ticking on him. And then it cuts to black, and you see written and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen. And you're like, oh shit, masterpiece, and then Carter Burwell's, track "Blood Trails" starts slowly playing, and I watched the entire credits last night because I was just like, I love this movie. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started getting on Letterboxd and getting on different little things that the way people interpret this movie, and what it means. And is "Blood Trails" is playing the entire time. So hats off to that song.
That's fantastic. The whole time I'm thinking, like, how are we going to do this award? I was going to text you and be like, are we doing something different for this one? Like, how's this going to work out? And then we got a little bit of music, and I'm like, okay.
And even if there was nothing, I would have said, like, what's your favorite sound in the movie? Which would probably be Anton's fucking crazy machine that he shoots it. Yeah. Awesome. I like the sound editing in the scene when he's getting the briefcase out of the duct, the air duct. Oh, fuck yeah. So cool. Oh, man.
The sound of Anton's suppressed shotgun.
Yeah.
I love that.
just taking all the air out of you. Yeah. So cool. And then when he shoots, you can just see, like with a shotgun, it's so fucking devastating. There's like 6 different bullet holes. And you're like, the guy behind this is this fucking menace, But boom, it's so awesome. It's really this like ultimate masculine badass. Like I love movies. I love westerns. He's amazing. That leads us right into the PSH, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. I know where I'm going.
This is Javier's game.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 100%. Anton, hands down.
Yeah, and we spoke at length throughout this whole episode about why he deserves this. It's a performance of the ages. It's pure psychopathic evil. There's no conscience behind this guy at all. No glimpse of anything. It's just determination and fury. And there's so few villains that have that level of darkness in them. I mean, usually even, fucking Darth Vader, Gollum, they get some sort of redemptive arc. This guy is just hardcore murder. But it's also a situation that Moss created himself. He did he stole drug money. That shit's gonna come back to bite you.
Yeah.
But also I love our intro to him. He's just, when we meet Anton, he's getting arrested. We don't know what he's getting arrested for. He's just getting arrested. And he chokes out the cop with this gleeful fucking smile. And then just washes his bloodied wrist up, hails, steals a cop car, hails down some poor guy and just asked him, will you stand still, please, sir? While he fucking blows out his skull with an air gun. Like, what the fuck? That's our introduction to this guy.
Yeah. Just kills like immediately, is just murdering anything in his path. And then he murders the two guys that are working with him, and they go to the scene and he just fucking shoots them both. And he's like, fuck you. I'm the one who's going to get this money. I don't really care what you guys say.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with business loyalty. He's not doing this for anybody. He kills anybody connected to this scheme. It's all about the inconvenience.
Yeah. Like, you thought you could get my way. Yeah. Oof. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's his award. The Philip Seymour Hoffman is easily Javier Bardem's, but the Deacons. This is the hardest one, right? Picking a singular scene, because it's like, well, the first 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes, you like want to pick these massive moments, these stretches, because the movie runs together so well. But you got to pick a scene. And what is it?
I knew exactly what it was going to be the second it started, because I could not stop smiling. I was muttering to myself, like, Christ. And just like, I was into it so hard. And it's Anton at the gas station. It's that scene is so pivotal to the character and so scary. It all just comes from like this poor old man asking, like, so how's the weather up there? That's all happens. And that right there, it means to Anton, someone is going to remember me. He must be silenced. But it also, he has issues with this guy marrying into the business. Like, he's not a real man or something.
Yeah, I love that. He's like, so you married into it? He's like, well, I wouldn't say that. He's like, that's what it is.
Yeah, there's no way to say it. That is the situation.
Yeah, he's so superior to everyone around him. He's quicker. His reactions are quicker. His responses are quicker. His comebacks are quicker. And you can't last in a conversation with him. You're fucked.
You don't want to. The second you start talking to this guy, you're like, I really wish I hadn't said anything to this guy. God, it's brilliant. Just, from, just what business is it of yours, friendo? Just the friendo. Like,
yeah,
it's so unnerving. Taking out the coin and just being like, call it. It's like, what? Call it. It's like, what do I stand to win? Everything.
Yeah. He said, I haven't put up anything. He said, you've been putting up your whole life. You just didn't fucking know it. You're like, oh my God. He's making me question every action I take.
This quarter's been traveling 22 years to get here, and now it's here. I can't call it for you. It wouldn't be fair. Call it.
And then he's like, that's your lucky quarter. He's like, don't go put it in your pocket, because then it would just become another coin, which is what it is. Like, what? This guy's fucking crazy.
Well, I love when the guy calls it and Anton just goes, well done. Like, he's almost annoyed that the guy got it right.
It's like a kid hitting a pinata and you want to see him fuck up, but you're like, shit, you got it. Yeah.
That whole scene, I've seen this a dozen times and I'm always like on the edge of my seat, super fucking tense during that scene. It's so brilliant. Oh,
yeah. I love that scene with all my heart. We've said this many times and kind of definitely played this up with Anton. You with his character, it's exactly what you want. It's kind of like Hannibal Lecter, where you're like, I'm freaked out, but I cannot stop watching this guy. I'm so excited when he's on screen, and I can't get enough. I want more. I want more. And really, you don't need more though. Like, you don't need that backstory. The beauty of it is the less is more. With a character like this, and god damn, he's He's brilliant. Because it's not my Deakins, I do think that scene at the end when he visits Carla Jean and he fucking checks his shoe after walking out of the house, you're like you knew it was gonna happen, you know, and you're like, but you're like, God damn it, dude! Like, can't you fucking let one go? And I love when she basically is she's the character who talks about what the movie is. She's like, that's bullshit. You do have a choice. It's not up to fate. She's like, you're choosing to do this. You're making these actions. You just want to leave it up to the coin so you don't have to deal with the repercussions in your mind later. You're the fucking devil. And you're doing it by choice. You're not leaving it up to some coin, you know? It's not fate. It's you're making that game up. But his game is too powerful for all the men that he comes across. He's too powerful. She's the only one who really calls him out. And God, I love that ending. Like, fucking shit. And then he breaks his arm, and you know, all that stuff is just crazy. He's the man. He's a great character. I'm kind of with you. I didn't know going into the movie. I was like, I don't know what my Deakins is going to be. This is going to be hard as shit. There's so many stretches of the movie that I love. I think the stretch where he goes back, Moss goes back to the scene and is like, oh fuck. And then he starts getting chased and he's running and he goes into the water. He kills the dog and he's got to go back home. You're like, what was that? Like, that was pure genius filmmaking. But the first hotel scene is great, but the second hotel in Eagle Pass, yeah. My God. I mean, yeah, I'll break down why I love it. He gets to the hotel, tells the clerk, he gives him like $200. He's like, hey, if any fucking swinging dick comes around here, you let me know about it. All right. Any swinging dick. Goes up to his room. Too bad. Anton already has a tracker and you just don't know it. And he's like, he can't go to sleep. I mean, how could you? You know, you got this fucking boogeyman chasing you. And he's laying down. Moss is like, fuck, no way. And he starts opening the money and looking, and he's like, oh my God, there's a tracking device in this motherfucker. And he realizes he's on my ass, you know. Sets it down on the table, gets his fucking gun out, gets his rifle out, and just sits on the bed waiting for him. And this is where you're like, okay, this guy's a veteran. This guy's done this kind of shit before, you know. You know, he knows what he's doing. And then you have the genius stuff from Anton where he goes up to the door, you see his boots, you see the shadows, and then he walks away, turns off the light in the hallway, comes back, bolts the door open. You're like, ah! And then fucking Josh Brolin jumps out the window, throws the money out, goes down, is getting shot at. And then that's where you're like, oh my God, the Coens, they are on top of everything right here. Because the geography of the hotel, you can be as dumb as they come and you can tell what's happening right here in this scene. It doesn't spell it out for you, but you can tell just by how smart these two guys are that they've tracked everything. And that's why Josh Brolin over and over, when the camera's on him, he's like, motherfucker, like he knows where I'm going to go. He knows where I'm going to go every single time I make a move. And so he goes out, comes back through the fucking lobby so that he can go out the back door. And you're like, oh my God. Because he knows that Anton is tracking his every move. He's trying to stay ahead of him, even though he can't. And then they get outside, they both wound each other, you know, and you're like, oh my God, these two guys are just a match made in heaven. You know, it's like Bonnie and Clyde. They just don't fucking know it, you know, and to see them both kind of go away wounded. And that's where Anton's like, okay, I'm going to regroup. I'm going to go get this thing fixed up and then I'm going to kill him. And Moss is like, I'm going to go hide the money so that there's no reason to kill me. And that whole stretch is just mind blowing. Is cinema at its finest. Is action. It's on par with any action. You know, it's like as good as fucking Die Hard. You know, and the action in this movie has no business being that good because it's dramatic. It's full of great dialogue. It's a Western, and then out of nowhere you have this intense one-on-one shootout between these two just freaks of nature who seem to just be able to survive anything. And it's the best. The Eagle Pass shootout is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my life. If I'm scrolling through the HBO channels while I'm at home, and I catch No Country for Old Men, chances are I'm going to watch the whole thing. But especially if this scene's about to come, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, buckle up, like this is what it's all about. I love this scene, the tracker, the way they both know the lay of the land without really being there for very long is so cool. You can tell they're both experienced veterans in some way, and we know that Josh Brolin, we know Moss is an actual veteran who fought in Vietnam, and Anton is a guy who's killed countless people. So it's just a showdown for the ages.
Yeah, great choice. I nearly had this myself. The scene, like when Anton bolts out the door lock, I'd forgotten about that bit, and it made me jump.
Yeah, me too. Me
I'm
too.
like, oh shit, we're in a horror movie now.
Yes, it does that. It does that shit. It does that. Wait a minute. Is this a horror movie? Is this a straight up boogeyman chasing man like horror movie? Is that what we're watching? And then it takes its liberties with just doing all kinds of other crazy cool shit. I think the scene where it cuts to Tommy Lee Jones driving into Del Rio. Yeah. No, they're at El Paso when Josh Brolin dies at the El Paso hotel because Carla Jean's about to fly.
That's
fly
right.
out from there.
Yeah. Okay.
And the fucking Mexican cartel guys are the ones who end up actually killing him. And all you see is them fucking, scurrying off. And you're like, wait, what? And you hear the girl screaming at the pool. And you're like, oh my God, Moss is dead. It's right up there with when Leo dies in The Departed. You're like, wait, what? Our main player is just gone like that. And you just have to keep moving.
Yeah. Sometimes, life doesn't work out the way it's supposed to. Sometimes people die at the wrong moment. And sometimes there isn't the resolution you expected. But it makes sense in this world because the Coens are preparing you for it. They're preparing you for an unconventional chase. I mean, yes. Anton is played like fucking Michael Myers. Nothing takes this guy down.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is something special. And I love that you never know anything about this guy. I doubt Anton Chigurh is his real name. Like this dude is just he's the John Wick of the cartel.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. God damn. That haircut. Oh, that haircut. It's creepy.
It's so creepy and so unnecessary. Like he wants people to leave him alone.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. He's like, yeah, just stay away from me. Just don't get in my way or you'll be very, very sorry.
I get in your way.
Yeah. If I choose to, you will have no choice. Yeah.
We will talk once and then no one will ever see you again.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, what a film. This was truly a blast. One day we'll do There Will Be Blood. We'll fucking do this shit all over again. I have no problem talking about both these movies for 2 hours. It'd be really cool to do There Will Be Blood. Awards would be equally as hard. We'll take a break from 2007 for quite some time, but one day There Will Be Blood will be on the schedule. Maybe when PTA comes out with his next film. Who knows? In like 5 years.
Yeah, why not?
That was great, man. I had an absolute blast. We got a complete change of pace next week. With Oscar Sunday. Tomorrow on Sneak Preview, I believe it's going to be you and Caleb talking about the new Scream.
New Scream, yes. The first major release of 2022. And I will be saying my bit about the tragedy of Macbeth. Not really up Caleb's alley. I get it. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I know I think the whole team is super pumped about Scream. He's already seen it, told me it was amazing. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. I'll probably see it sometime during the week. I will, get to it when I can. During November, I watched all 4 Screams. So like, I'm just ready. I was in a huge Scream, just mode. And I was like, I'm just gearing up for the new one. So I love the Scream movies. They're just a lot of fun. On Filmgazm on Wednesday, episode 172, Jesus. You and I will be talking about one of my favorite 80s movies, Michael Mann's Thief. Yes, I can't wait. That's a movie I bought while we were in Los Angeles on Criterion. So I'm very excited to watch that. Be on Filmgazm for the first time in a while. That'll be really cool. And then on Friday for Beyond the Bad, you and Caleb will be covering Showgirls. Just saying Scream, Thief, and Showgirls. Just cracks me up.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, pick the one that doesn't line up. And then to just throw another wrench into it, next week on Oscar Sunday, episode 86. This is what I was hinting at earlier, when it's a film that neither of us have seen, 1973, Day for Night. It's gonna be cool. This is another one I own on Criterion. Very excited to finally watch it. I've owned it for quite some time. I bought it on a whim, just kind of like, fuck it, let's see if this is any good. I've heard great things. It won best foreign language film, so I like to try to see all of those, when I can. Just nice and slow process, but it's fun. So yeah, complete change of pace for Oscar Sunday. And please listen to the rest of our shit. I'm very excited for Thief. It's just such a great movie. I can't wait for you to see it. I think it's Michael Mann's masterpiece, and that's saying a lot because the guy's got a cool ass career. So it's gonna be a lot of fun this week. And buckle up, watch some movies, go see Scream, watch Tragedy of Macbeth on fucking Apple TV. Just watch more shit. Watch Michael Clayton, watch Juno, watch Atonement if you have the fucking stomach for it. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. Had a lot of fun. Hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you later.